Welcome to Cosmic Comics. I am Kagan,
And I'm Jared.
and we're here for some standard FNM magic. So this is going to be our second week now with Journey to Nick Speed in the standard.
It's a pretty sweet set, actually, I think.
Oh yeah, and from what we've been seeing, it's completely shaken up the metagame.
So a lot less controllable now, or?
Yeah, it's the stage that you get whenever you change over from an established metagame to a new, adding a new set in is.
Yeah.
There's a time where there's going to be a bunch of different rogue decks that are going to try to find their place, and then it'll settle down, and the control decks will know what they need to control.
I've been running Oracle of Bones like every week, so I've been trying to see what I can do with it.
Exactly, yeah. It's where you get the biggest power strikes, where you get to do the powerful things, and then decks figure out how to deal with your powerful things.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll be seeing some powerful things in our first match coming up here.
Yeah, definitely.
So be heading into that. Our round 2, and it's going to be Jeremy Fuller versus Randall Johnson.
Do you know what decks they're playing at all?
I believe Jeremy is on the big green deck that he's been playing in the past.
All right.
And let's see, we'll see here.
Looks like it's white.
Yeah.
White-green? I think I saw Trostani, but I might be mistaken.
Yeah, but so on Jeremy's side, we see the Shrine to Nixus as well as the Caryatid. And then
Conclave.
Yep. So we're probably seeing the green-white tokens here.
So probably running some voices, stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah, and we've seen Wayfaring Temples and all the good Celsia tricks that come through. Yeah.
Do you think he's running worms?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's the appeal of this deck is that for 4 mana you get a 5/5. It's also a removal spell a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we see Jared winding up and unloading with the
Burning Tree.
Yeah, the Burning Tree Emissary. So he's got a red and green as pool.
Looks like he's adding one more, too.
Yeah. And so that's going to be our Revered Hunter.
So for 4?
Yep, so it's going to be a 5/5 total. And that's what we've been seeing a lot, because Dane Venowitz also plays a very similar mono-green monsters deck.
Do you see a lot of Reverent Hunters like in the meta right now? Or
here at Cosmic, we definitely have multiple players who play a mono-green deck based around the Revered Hunter.
Okay. Looks like he got a little ahead of himself and tried to play the Centaur Healer as a land, and
Exactly.
they corrected that, so that's good.
Exactly, enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, we have a pretty interesting board state here.
Yeah, does he even have an answer to 4/4 Reverend Hunter or 5/5 Reverend Hunter?
2 3/3s.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, so this is where tricks end. So what we've seen is Aspect of Hydra is one of the big tricks we've been seeing on the mono green
Oh,
decks
okay,
too.
that's interesting.
Yeah, so they just give +5, +5, +6 for green. It's a little better than Giant Growth.
A little bit. Only a little, though.
Exactly.
Let's see what he's going to go for here.
So that's an
Arbor
Arbor
Colossus. Yep.
So that's going to make that Shrine to Nixus very powerful, as well as Aspects, more Revered Hunters.
So right now, do you make the trade?
Uh,
Do you just throw one away?
He's tapped out. I think you definitely have to double block here.
Ooh, he's taking it, actually, so...
Yeah, and I think one of the things that Randall understands here too is that he's not going to be able to win a longer game here, most likely, because with Arbor Colossus being a 6/6 and threatening monstrous.
And he has so much devotion already, so you think he's just trying to go for like one big turn?
Exactly. So he has to be able to counterattack here. He can't.
Okay.
This is not going to win incremental advantages with 6/6 on the board.
How does he get over the Arbor Colossus, though, on this turn? Or does he?
So Celsnia Charm is a card.
Okay, he has to destroy 5 or greater.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like...
Or he's probably got some kind of pump here, obviously.
Exactly. Yeah, it might be even Solar Flare. So get him to block with the Colossus, then make him sack the Colossus.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the great thing about the mono green and the green white is they have a lot of tricks.
Yeah. Do you think he's running a full playset of Conclave, like what's the meta for the green white token deck right now? Like what is it running?
Yeah, we've seen the fairly aggressive where they'll have the call to Conclave. A lot of times we'll see the Fleece Main Line as well.
And voice.
Yeah, and typically voice as well, and then your Advent of the Worm. Those are the big major cards that works around.
Does it try to squeeze a Brimaz in there at all, or no?
I haven't seen as much Brimaz, but Brimaz can be very powerful in there.
Yeah, just by himself he seems good. But here it looks like he's tapping out for something big.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like it's going to be monstrous at all, so...
Yeah, so let's see. He is adding in... So, get a little...
Did he tap the Nykthos before he played that
I
for
think
extra
he may
mana?
have.
So then he could have gotten even more mana.
Yeah. But at a certain point, there's only so much mana you need in a turn.
Yeah, true. What did he just play now?
He played the 3/3 for 2.
Okay.
The Corrosion Tusker. Not Corrosion Tusker, that's a slightly different card.
But basically the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah, it's the 3/3 for green.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's green's version of the Watch Wolf.
And he's still stuck at 3.
Yeah, I think they're trying.
So Randall's not looking too good right now. And Bow.
Yep, and Nylea's Bow, which help him clean up here a lot.
Yeah, and it also protects him in case if he leaves himself too vulnerable and on a swing back, he still has the possibility to gain some life. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the big differences we see in Jeremy's deck compared to a lot of the mono green decks, is that he uses that bow to create a ton of advantage for himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now he's just in, this Giant Growth? Yep, Giant Growth.
Yeah, Giant Growth. So
they'll trade that.
Yeah, he's able to trade off with Colossus, but
2-for-1's not what you want to be doing right now in this board state, though.
exactly. And if you look around, like, there's still a whole lot of board left for Jeremy. Randall's down to 10 here as well.
He's down to 10. He's only at 3 lands. He has 1 green source in case that actually matters, so he's missing a second green.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, is that the Selesnya deck doesn't need a ton of mana, but 4 is very important because the deck's built around Advent of
the
Word,
Worm. Yeah.
and then you play the Indestructible Populate spell.
Yep, so the 3-mana Rootborn defenses.
Yeah, and a lot of times you'll see one of the most common plays is the turn 3 Wayfaring Temple, and then end of turn Worm, and then attack and populate your Worm.
I believe I saw he had a Trostani in his hand at the beginning of the game, but I'm not positive.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks like he's conceding now. He just didn't get that 4 mana. What does he have in the sideboard that he can actually stop Nykthos? Is there anything that he can, or is this a bad matchup for him?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily a bad matchup. I think it definitely favors Jeremy because Jeremy's able to just get the bigger creatures.
Yeah.
But in the end, this game is a race. It's 2 mid-range decks who, are basically just bashing big creatures into each other. And it's who can get the biggest creatures as fast as possible. Yeah, so obviously with being in white, it's going to give Randall some more options for sideboard compared to what Jeremy will have.
Yeah. What do you think he sideboards in? Like, what, off the top of your head, like, can you think of any?
Trying to think, like, because I assume you'd probably be on a full set of Selesnya Charms, but
Yes,
obviously
for sure,
Selesnya Charm is going to be one of the key cards in this matchup.
Yeah, definitely. He probably has a lot of dead cards in there too, because I imagine him with Dream Nyx being out, he probably is running some Deicides in the sideboard. I would assume. Like, that seems good to me, but maybe he's not.
Yeah,
which could open some more slots to be good against another aggro or a ramp deck.
Exactly. Like, Deicide is one of those great sideboard cards that got added in, but
Yeah.
but one of the great things about sideboards is that it really is about what are you concerned about, and so you have to think about the matchups. Like, are you expecting something? Because Deicide's a pretty big commitment of a sideboard
Yeah.
card.
Although, I mean, it just seemed like there's a lot of players running. I mean, this is a great time to talk about Deicide. I mean, there's a lot of players running Gods in every single format. But it's not only good against Gods, it's still good against other enchants.
Exactly.
So, I mean, we have the new Oblivion Ring, we have Banishing Light in Standard now. We're seeing a lot of enchant decks, just like throwing it a whole bunch on a creature, like Hero of Iroas. I mean, there's some good stuff out there that Deicide's good against.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely a tool that you like to have in your sideboard.
Yeah.
But a lot of times you just want to make sure that you know exactly, not just the hypothetical, things it's good against, but like
True.
it makes my matchup against this deck that I have problems with.
Yeah. I have a question for you though. What do you think Revoke Existence is going to see more standard play right now, or do you think Deicide will?
I think at least to begin, I mean, Deicide's a new toy. We all love new toys,
So
right?
people are going to play with it, yeah.
Yeah, so Deicide's going to be the default for a lot of people because they want to play with it, they want to see how it is, how it affects them, and then from there, they'll decide whether it's worth it or whether they'll stick with Revoke.
Yeah. Like right now, I'm mixing with one of my decks. I'm having 2 Deicides main board, and I have 2 sideboard plus 2 extra Revokes on sideboard in case there's a random artifact I need to deal with. But
yeah, and like for instance, Cory Jones, we know in the past has played Naya Hexproof.
Okay.
And that's a matchup where both of those can
are
be
very
useful.
good. Yeah.
Ever. But yeah, so we're going to be heading into game 2 here.
All right.
And we'll be able to see whether or not the flexibility that white gives for the sideboard will make a difference.
Yeah. He's going to need to.
Absolutely.
And he, of course, chooses to go first, I presume.
Yeah, and as we know, like, white historically has always been that kind of, gives you a lot of flexibility out of your sideboard as well. That's always been one of white's big advantages.
Is that a guild gate or is that the temple?
I think that's a guild gate.
Yeah, it looks like the Guild Gate to me.
It's tricky with the original set in Dragon Maze where there's two
True,
copies
yeah.
of the same land.
But he kept it. Looks like Randall kept a 2-lander, so I don't know if he drew his 3rd land yet. So this could be pretty interesting to see how this goes down
Yeah, and so we see an Elvish Mystic on Jeremy's side.
for turn 1.
Yeah, and so he's going to be
Probably
continuing.
Caryatid. Yeah, Caryatid comes down turn 2.
Yeah, so really pumping up that mana for whatever big fatty he wants to
He could drop a Colossus right here on turn 3.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And looks like he did draw a 3rd land, so that's good. And is that the Verdant
I believe that's Market Festival.
Market Festival?
Yeah, which lets you add a lot of mana and helps fixing if you're having problems as well.
Yeah.
Which is, less of an issue in this deck compared to others.
Very true.
But that's the thing is, the game that you don't have, enough of one color or the other,
Yeah.
it makes that difference.
I do see a Nylea in Jeremy's hand, so do you think we see Nylea coming down here? Or do you think it's too early? So he's now up to 5 mana. Here comes another Reverent Hunter, so it's going to be 3. Not as powerful as last time.
Yeah, but still,
Still nice.
a 4/4, and it's
It'll
against
be able to block.
yeah, and it's more or less with the token deck. It's built around a lot of 3/3s as well.
Yes.
So, having that 4/4 lets you be a little bigger.
Yeah. And so he does have a Nylea in his hand. Do you think we see that next turn then? Or does it kind of depend on what he's going to play?
Yeah.
I feel like you got to try to get Nylea out there as soon as possible.
Yeah, one of the things that we've seen happen so many times, especially for Jeremy, is that people forget all the text on Nylea.
Yeah.
They forget both the trample and the pump.
Yes.
And I've seen both of those be very significant in Jeremy's games in the past.
Yeah.
So getting it out very quickly can be very
And
important.
we see another Centaur Healer come down here, so it's kind of similar to his first game where he's able to get Centaur Healer plus another creature, get above 20, and then it kind of evolved last game, but let's see if he can keep it together this time.
Yeah.
So there's the Nick, though, so could be a big turn.
Yeah, exactly.
And I see a Garrick in his hand, so we see Garrick coming down here for sure.
Yeah, it's the Garrick or Nylea, but yeah, I think Garrick's probably the best thing to do here, as you said.
Yeah, it looks like he is playing that Garrick.
Yep. Yeah, and Randall will give it the old read. Just make sure he understands all the modes.
He's going straight to the top of the library with this, though, right?
Yeah, I'd have to believe that.
Do you think Randall's actually running anything that can deal with planeswalkers, or does he just have to damage it?
I think it's just have to damage it. He's very far behind this game as well.
Yeah.
So
Looks like a Forest, Arbor Colossus, Elvish Mystic, Forest, and one of the new Strive cards, but I'm not sure which one. But he put the Strive at the bottom. Arbor Colossus and Elvish Mystic, so.
yeah, it's definitely well worth the investment there.
So now he has Nylea, Arbor Colossus, and an Elvish Mystic in hand. So he's got some good power left over, if anything happens to his board.
So I'm trying to think. So Randall is at 4.
24.
Oh, he's at 24.
24, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of them fell off. I was wondering for a moment there.
Yeah, they didn't have the two dice, so it looks like he just went over top on it.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah.
But it's hard to see what's in. He also has a Nylea.
So yeah, we're see a battle of the gods.
Yeah, I mean, he could drop it, he's thinking about it, but I mean, with this board state, he has to deal with Garrick soon, within the next turn or two at the most,
And
or it's over.
And he's both behind on board and mana. That it's not going to become a guy, and he's not going to be able to, use the
There's
pumps
the
to
Nylea.
fight.
And again, he's missing his land drop on turn 4. That's what got him in game 1. Looks like it might get him here in game 2 as well.
Okay, and that festival's helping a lot, but it can only do so much for you.
Yeah.
And I think it does bring up something that comes up with a lot of newer players as well, is a lot of players don't play enough lands.
Yeah.
And you'll see people who try to play 21, 22 lands in decks that need 24, 25.
Yeah. I mean, there are some players that'll even play up to 27 lands in a deck, which is a lot, but
Yeah, I believe I used a deck that I play with Jaws Deep that was a 28 land Jund deck.
yeah. And I mean, that's a pretty mid-range deck too.
Exactly.
So it's not like you're having a lot of 8, 9, 10 drops in that.
Yep, so we see Garut going up once again.
So
and,
Caryatid,
and
Scavenging Ooze?
no, that's the 3/3.
It's the 3/3, yep.
Yeah, the Tusker.
So you think he just kind of sits back and protects right now? I mean, he's probably going to drop Arbor Colossus, I would assume.
Yeah, So
So there's the burning tree. Add 2 more.
yeah, he also has the option of dropping Nylea.
Could he do both? Does he have enough?
So he has
'Cause
2,
4, 5,
3,
6,
4,
7. 7
5, 6,
devotion.
7, 8, 9.
Plus 2 floating. So he has 10 mana total.
Well, I believe he used the mana from.
Oh, to tap Nykthos,
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, the emissary made the mana from Nykthos, but he should have 9 green in his pool because we can't.
There we go. It looks like you might be doing both. So Nylea plus
No, he's gonna
Arbor
be.
Colossus?
Yep, because that's going to be 5 plus 4 for 9.
And Nylea is automatically active with his, like,
Yeah, it's hard. Like
this just might be a good game right here.
Yeah, there's not much Randall can do to, just turn off Nylea alone, let alone stabilize and start mounting his own offense.
Yeah, I mean, even then, I mean, he's got to rip something big. Like, he has to have, like, a Supreme Verdict or something, and I just don't see it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because we haven't seen
Looks
as
like he drew a
deep,
spear.
exactly, and we haven't seen as deep of a concentration necessarily on tokens for Randall.
Yeah.
Like it looks like he might be more of a Selznia mid-range deck.
Very true, yeah. Do
Yeah.
you think he's running cards like Unflinching Courage then?
Unflinching Courage could be a definite possibility. I don't think it makes enough of a difference in this situation though.
Not in this situation, no. I mean, he's staring down. How much damage is that? So we have 4, 6, 7, 8. Is Nylea 4 power?
I believe it's a 6/6.
6, 6.
Yeah. Plus, don't forget Nylea's pumps as well.
And Arbor Colossus can monster us easily.
Yeah, so there's a number that probably adds up to 120. So is that revoked?
That's Revoke Resistance. Looks like he's doing it on Nylea.
Yep. So again, that conversation that we were having before.
Yep. Although it also is a sorcery, which is something to point out.
Yeah, that is a big point too.
Yeah. And is that an ordeal?
Didn't quite see if that was the Ordeal of Heliod.
But it's a 2-mana white enchant, so...
Yeah, and I've seen Ordeal of Heliod be used in sideboards as a way to deal with more aggressive decks.
Looks like he's going straight at Garrick right now. Group.
Yeah, because that's the thing is, as far behind as you are, you're never going to catch up if they have Garrick out.
Yeah. So, what's Nylea now then?
Nylea is a 7/7 indestructible.
So he's just gonna let him die, eat the other 2, turn off Nylea? That seems good.
Yeah, it looks like that's what's going to be happening.
And he
there.
still has a
And
Arbor Colossus and a Reverend Hunter in play.
Yeah, and that Ordeal, I believe, should be falling off of Nylea, but the token should, or the +1/+1 counter should
Because it's
stay.
not a creature anymore.
It's not a creature, but the token goes on the creature, not the enchantment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it'll be an enchantment with a +1/+1 counter on it right now.
And Randall is at 24, but I mean, standing on this board, he's tapped out. He can't respond to anything.
Yeah.
Like, he could just get blown out this turn.
Exactly. And as we see right now, it's already at 9, 10, 11.
He's going to tap Nykthos and add some.
He's at 15 before the Monstrous.
And here comes Garrick again, it looks like.
I think at this point you can just
Monstrous and
win.
swing.
Yeah, I think you're a few points short of killing if you just Monstrous.
Could do both, though. Well, there's the Garrick.
And yeah, just continuing to flood the board.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely know Randall's not going to be able to play that many creatures in one turn.
Exactly, and that's just Jeremy shoring up the board so that nothing happens where he's going to lose this game.
It looks like he flipped over, got a bow that's going to go on the bottom, but he did get 3 more
Yeah,
creatures. A burning tree, some other small things.
Yeah, it's a fully loaded hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is basically when you build a deck and just start fishbowling it at home to see the cool things it can do. That's basically what Jeremy's deck has just started doing.
Yeah. And I mean, at this point, he doesn't even need any of his mana dorks. He can just use those as blockers and just win with just Arbor Colossus, really.
So, yeah, and we see him adding in 3 more mana now from the mana dorks to
Now to play more creatures. I mean, his devotion is something like ridiculous right now.
Yeah, I think again, just an aspect of Hydra would probably kill right now.
Yeah.
Like Elvish Mystic aspect of Hydra win game.
Well, speaking about trying to Nykthos, do you think there's actually going to be a deck at any point in Standard where Nykthos and some kind of Fireball is going to be like an actual thing?
It's interesting to see. Like we have a ton of X spells.
Yeah.
Like we have Rakdos Return, we have Aurelia's Fury.
Clan Defiance.
Yeah, Clan Defiance. So yeah, there are a ton of outlets. Part of the problem is you have to develop your board, and all of those
Yeah.
are kind of 2 colors. So you have
Yes.
to have a focus color and a splash. But yeah, it definitely can be done.
I mean, especially with Burning Tree, if you're thinking about trying to get some, if you're trying to just use red at all, I mean, you can make it through with that. Oh, so he just plays the Ferris Band War Chief, and it looks like he's just going to die in the swing back. He's tapped out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just going through the motions of. It's hard to do when your opponent's got about 20 mana every turn.
Yes.
And is drawing, 4 or 5 cards.
And a lot of, he has, 8 creatures on board? More than that? 10 creatures on the board, plus Planeswalker?
Yeah, at this point I've just stopped trying to count, because at a certain point you're just going to give yourself an aneurysm.
True.
But yeah, I think we can say that there's plenty on Jeremy's side. He's got plenty of damage, plenty of creatures, plenty of devotion.
And it looks like his deck's well built, that every single time he's used Garruk, he's gotten at least 2 creatures, if not 3 or 4.
Yep, so yeah, it's very fun. It reminds me of a deck that Jeremy played back in the day. He played a Proteus Staff Raise the Alarm deck with no creatures in it, so he could just stack his deck for the rest of the game.
That's pretty awesome. And we just see how powerful the Garruk can be. You just drop 3 Burning Trees in 1 turn.
Exactly.
I mean, it's already over, but that could be game-changing if it wasn't as lopsided as it is.
Exactly, yeah. Getting full advantage out of your Garruks is really, really a huge advantage to take. Yeah, so he's using the legend rule to sacrifice the tap one.
To be able to tap another one for even more.
Yeah.
I guess this is good practice too for going through the motions of going through the Nykthos, making sure that you know how the spell works, and then Mistcutter for
an amount. I believe we're around 40ish is what I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I believe that's a 40-40 Mistcutter Hydra.
Yeah. And there you have it in 2 games.
Yep. Yeah, and that was just that synergy and focus that really worked out for Jeremy there.
It almost didn't seem like Randall's deck even had a chance. It almost seemed like it just played a couple of mediocre creatures, some 3/3s, and then just died at turn 3, turn 4.
Yeah, and as we were saying before, he did struggle on his mana both games.
Yes, both times, yeah.
And the big thing too is it's hard when you're on 3 to 4 mana and your opponent's on 10 to 20.
Yeah, well, I mean, in that second game, do you actually keep when I saw his hand? He only had 2 land. He knows that he doesn't have any mana producers in his hand. Do you keep that 2 mana? Because he got stuck again.
Yeah, so did he have the festival left?
I don't believe so. He might have, but I don't believe he did.
Okay, because the festival on the play with 2 lands
is keepable.
But
with just 2 lands and no mana producers, or if he had no mana acceleration, what do you think?
Yeah, it's true. Part of it is that you're in a game where it's going to be big monsters.
Yeah.
And so
you have to get out early.
You have to get out early, and you have to get a little lucky.
Yeah.
Because you're already kind of going to be behind in this matchup because his creatures are bigger than yours and they're more plentiful.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's a very good matchup for him in the first place. Do you think another problem could have been that his mana base might have been just a little off? Maybe he's running 1 or 2 less than he should have been?
So it's very hard to tell from just a couple of games.
The games that we saw, yeah.
Yeah, so for...
I know I get greedy with mine. I usually go for right around 21, 22.
Exactly.
So.
And that's a probably 24 lane deck from what we're seeing. But yeah, it's hard to know for sure.
For the green-white deck, do you actually think that they would run mana producers? Do you think it should run an Elvish Mystic or should run a Caryatid?
It really depends on how far, because you are playing, obviously, the Centaur healer.
Yes.
It is a good reason to have the Elvish Mystics to be able to drop that on turn 2.
Okay. Do you think we're going to see Minotaur decks or Centaur decks?
Yeah, I was going to say, I was wondering that it seems like he may have the Centaur Lord in that deck.
Yeah, he did.
That would be a great place for him.
Do you think that those decks are actually going to see widespread play in Standard, or do you think it's just kind of a gimmicky deck?
I think, again, it's feeling out and whether or not it fits in the metagame.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily thinking it's the best, but you see so many cards that happen in metagames where you're not sure about the deck, and then it actually goes in the metagame and just crushes everything that's there.
Yeah.
So it might definitely find its place.
Yeah. I mean, one of the cards I like for the Centaur deck is the Laguna Blade.
Yeah, the 0/4?
The 0/4 wall. The 0/4 that's heroic and it's 1 mana. It seems fantastic.
And so we just want to let you know as well that, again, we've been keeping our legacy cases stacked. We've been keeping our modern stock. We've got our standard stock.
Definitely.
And so what we're doing right now, just to promote a little bit, is we have 20% off all Magic singles that are under $50 right now in the store. So if there's, tomorrow. Okay, yeah, so, forgetting that tomorrow is City Champs being hosted here at Beck in Cosmic.
Yeah.
And so the doors are going to be opening up at 11. We're opening a little early for that. And the tournament itself is going to start at noon. And so the winner is going to be getting a playmat and their name engraved onto the trophy.
Yeah,
And yes, there's only 2 or 3 names on there right now.
yeah, because it just started a couple months ago. So, and then we had a who won it last month again?
I'm not sure who won it last month.
Okay. But it's definitely having a cool trophy. I mean, I have a little players league that we do, and we have a trophy for ours too. It's just a little thing. It's just fun to have, though. I mean,
yeah, exactly. It's an accomplishment.
Competition.
Exactly. It's an accomplishment that you get to add to the things that I've accomplished, and that's a big one because there's a lot of talent here in Bellingham.
Definitely is, yeah. For how small the town is, there's a lot of Magic players that are at a very high level here.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, even the last tournament, didn't multiple players top 10 from Bellingham?
It happens a lot.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, whenever there's an event in Seattle, you'll typically see somebody from Bellingham having a good finish.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're going to be heading into our round 3 here.
And these are both 2-0s, right?
I believe these are both 2-0s. So we have Ty Visser on the left and Cory Jones on our right.
And I have seen a little bit of Ty's deck. He's playing a Simic deck with Kiora and basically that whole... I think he's playing Zagana as well, actually. So Kiora, Zagana, Prophetic.
Okay. Yeah, so just trying to get the huge advantages wherever you can get them.
So there's the follower. Do we have any idea what Cory's playing?
Cory has been playing Naya Hexproof, and I would be surprised to see him changing, considering he's gotten additional tools for his deck.
Yeah, and we probably are going to see a Conclave come down here, right? Because he passed with 2 mana open.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether or not he's going to be dropping something like a Selesnya.
Oh, it doesn't look like it at all. But a turn 3 Courser by Ty looks like he's playing
He
fast.
Witch Hunters a lot is what we'll most likely see.
Oh, Smiter.
Locks it on Smiter.
And he played a Temple?
Yeah, the temple that makes the 8/8 token.
Yep. And Courser's already getting value off there.
Yeah, and so you know what? This is Cory's other deck. So Cory has played very much more devoted token green-white.
All right.
So where last round we saw more of just mid-range creatures.
Yeah.
Like Cory Jones is the Wayfinding Temple, then attack
Play a
you
lot
with
of
no
them.
tokens, play Advent of Worms, make another Advent.
And be populating.
Exactly.
Okay. So now we see Prophet Krufix come down,
Yep.
and this game is could get out of hand easily.
Exactly. If there's a card that's Simic, it's the Prophet.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Arbor Colossus.
Which will most likely be becoming legendary.
And then the voice comes down.
Yep.
I mean, it's a good chunk block right now, but the power level on Ty's side right now is just out of this world for...
Yeah, and the Prophet lets you be very, very explosive.
Yeah.
Like, taking 2 turns is kind of a good thing.
Yeah, there's similar cards that Ty's not playing with that are in those colors, like Plasm Capture and things like that are fun cards. When you look at them on paper, they're like, this looks like a good card, but play-wise, it hasn't panned out at all. So
Yeah, absolutely. And you can tell that Ty's deck is very focused.
yes, very focused.
And, like, I assume he's playing a Shrine to Nixus, because you can see he's mostly green with a little blue.
With a little blue, yeah.
So yeah, I would not be surprised to see Shrine at all.
Yeah. And he probably gets Kiora all the way to Ultimate sometimes, because, he already has an Arbor Colossus in play. He's untapping his mana every single turn.
Yeah, and that's one of the big things. Kiora Ultimate's so fast, and its Ultimate is so impactful on the game.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and this is the perfect place to defend it, because there's not a lot of ways for green-white to get through Arbor Colossus alone.
Yeah, and he's already at 14, and Ty is just gaining more and more life. We see a Courser on top of his deck that's going to be coming down next turn, probably. Double Courser.
Yeah, it's going to continue to accelerate his life. But we see the Selesnya Charm to get rid of the Colossus.
So step 1 to try and get this board state back in his favor.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that Kiora is going to be looming.
And it looks like one of Ty's cards in his hand actually is an island, so it's very possible Cory gets back in this game.
Well, and we saw a third now Courser on top of Ty's deck as well.
So just going home with the Coursers.
So yeah, so potentially we're looking to each land being worth 3 life.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's a Plukernos in his hand as well.
Yeah. Keep in mind as well, Cory's deck is a mid-range deck as well.
Okay, so he does have bigger creatures. So he can handle some of these creatures.
Yeah, but the problem is you're still playing, fairly fair. You're just playing, 5/5s for 4.
Exactly.
But that's hard to deal with when your opponent's getting up to making 9/9s every turn.
Yeah, and now he's using Kiora. And I mean, every time when he untaps, he can just ultimate Plurkranos, and I mean, or he can Monstrous it. He can Monstrous any of his creatures on his opponent's turn, and play creatures on his turn. I mean, the Prophet, even though it's not really a threat, is a huge threat still, in terms of like mana.
Exactly. Yeah. It's hard to keep cards in your hand with the amount of draw you're going through, especially when you're playing with the Courser as well, which is even gonna clean up your draws even more.
Yeah, here comes Plurkranos.
Yep. Yeah, so just cleaning out the voice, and in comes the 2/2 token now.
So then, basically, Cory right now has to probably have another Selesnya Charm, or he could be just done now, right?
Yeah, this at least cleans up the board with it being lethal next turn.
Yeah. Does this kind of like matchups? Like it seems like there's a lot of big creatures getting thrown out really early in games now.
Yeah,
does it scream Banishing Light getting played like as a 4 of and even creature heavy decks? Or
I'm not sure. Like that is a good question. Like what we are seeing right now is what we saw at the beginning of Return to Ravnica format, where it's just these over the top decks because too many people are trying to play fair.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of appealing fair cards right now. Like, we have a 4/4 for 3 on board right now.
Yeah.
And it's just being outclassed by everything.
So it also looks like he just drew Druid's Deliverances, populates, also fogs for the turn. Yeah. And do you know if he's running any more fog effects? Could this just be a case of he's just going to make a board?
It's just there for the populate.
Just for the populate.
Keeping them alive in races. Yeah, and we're going to see...
That's a fantastic card. Yeah. Sundering Growth, correct?
Yeah, I believe it's Sundering Growth. The destroy target artifact or enchantment and populate.
Yeah, for 2. Either green or white.
Yeah, and so there's a whole bunch of Voice of Resurgence tokens.
There are.
So yeah, I think Ty's reevaluating when he should and shouldn't be killing Voice of Resurgence now.
Exactly.
Yeah, next time he just might let it stay on the board.
Because instead of just facing down a small voice and a Lockstone Smiter,
it's 3 4/4s.
Yeah, plus a Smiter 4/4.
Yeah. Which is funny because with both the board state and Ty's life total, like 16 power isn't even that threatening.
No, yeah, especially with the coursers, with the amount of coursers he has.
Exactly.
He just drop a Wayfaring Temple.
Yep, and so the Wayfaring Temple can threaten that if it can get through, then it can make even more of these Voice of Resurgent tokens.
Yeah, and we see him using the ultimate, and also it looks like his 4th Courser on top of his library, so he's kind of flooded with the coursers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he would like something a little more of a finisher here.
Yeah. Is he running any non-creature spells?
I'm not sure if this is a fully creature deck. Like, it'd be interesting to see if he's running Garrets.
Yeah, definitely gonna be interesting.
Like that could be one of the things that's going on in this deck.
Yeah, that's a big card right there, a Johnny.
Yep. Yeah, because it's going to be able to give flying and double strike to the Wayfaring Temple.
Yeah, and this game could just be getting out of hand in a hurry because, as we can see, Ty can't block flyers.
Yeah, and keep in mind that right now that Wayfaring Temple, before anything happens to it, is a 5/5.
Yeah. So whereas it looks like Ty had this game in the bag, a Temple plus a Johnny with some tokens, this could be all in Cory's favor now.
Okay. So yeah, looks like we got a little skip here, but basically Cory casted Advent of Worms, and a Johnny did go on the Temple, and so he made another worm token off of that. So Okay, yeah, sorry, I might be getting ahead of myself. It looks like a Johnny just +1 the Wayfaring Temple, actually.
It looks like he's blocking Plurkranos? Oh, he's used tokens, that's better.
Yeah.
Because if you keep the Temple alive, you can always fly that guy over.
Yeah, and those tokens come into play untapped.
Yeah.
So you attack with one guy, give him double strike, you have 2 guys to block now. Yeah, so...
And he has a Purist Follower on top of his library, kind of a do-nothing card at this point.
Exactly, and that's one of the things you see with the ramp decks a lot too, is you're devoting a lot of card slots to ramping. Yes. And we have some of the best ramp cards that you can get with, Purist Follower is a great ramp card.
Oh, definitely.
Courser of Prufix, great, they do more than just ramp you.
For sure.
But in the end, it's still, you know, a grizzly bear.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I like Kyora's follower so much is just because if your opponent misplays and they forget about Kyora's follower just sitting over there on the side, you can just untap your Pelucranos and block with it.
And it looks like everybody but one token is going to be blocking Pelucranos, I think, here. Or is he double blocking?
I think he attacked with some. I think he attacked with some tokens as well. Yeah, so he attacked with some tokens.
Okay, so it's two of the tokens and then double block Pelucranos and
looks like he's killing a couple of his tokens.
Yeah, and he cast a white spell. It went by really fast. I didn't see what it was. It might have been a God's Willing.
It's God's Willing, yeah.
Okay, so keep the Wayfaring Temple
alive. Yep.
Yeah, and so we see the third and final Courser of Kufix coming down.
Yep, with one in his grave, which he probably can't interact with at all.
Exactly. So yeah, Coursers are done. No more Coursers.
Yeah, but at least he still has the Cure emblem, so he does have a beater coming down each turn, so...
Exactly.
We'll kind of see how this pans out, but I'm kind of liking the Johnny plus Wayfaring Temple right now.
Yeah, the problem is 25 is the number you have to beat.
Yeah, versus 12, so...
Exactly, and... Yeah, you're not going to out-token the tokens.
Yeah.
Like, you're just not going to race 9/9s. Like, if you could have Johnny every turn, you might have enough time to, you know, be able to chump enough to do it, but you don't get to, you know, double strike flying every turn.
Exactly. I mean, if he has some kind of other pump, and then he double strikes, I mean, he could maybe take him out in a turn, but... Yeah. Looks like he plays Advent now.
Yeah, so he plays the Advent of the Worms. So yeah, we'll probably see the... Yeah, so that was the skip we were talking about. So yeah, he played the Advent of the Worm, and then Johnny'd up the temple, attacked, and made another token.
Yeah. And it looks like Ty is swinging away with his Hydra here. It's a Hydra, right? Hydra? From Kiora?
It's a Kraken.
Kraken.
So you can even play Whelming Wave if you want to get really classy.
There you go.
Because how do you beat a bunch of 9/9 tokens and then everything but the 9/9 tokens go away?
Exactly. I mean, that's not a very good, like, it doesn't seem like a very good card, except for literally just in that instance.
Exactly.
Unless we see something like a Mirror Weave or something like that come back, and you're like, Krakens, and then, but then again, your opponent's creatures would still have that, be Krakens too. So it looks like he's just bringing the whole team down.
Yep. Yeah, well, that's the thing is, even after that double strike attack by Wayfaring Temple, Ty's at 19.
Yeah. I mean, he has some coursers he can still block with too if he needs to chump some away.
Yeah, and reasonably, those tokens are all very, very large, as is Wayfinding Temple.
Yes.
But all those, you know...
Krakens are also large.
Yeah, Krakens are large, and then all these, you know, mana dorks that keep showing up for Ty are doing the dorky job of getting in the way of, you know, 8/8s and 9/9s.
And is that a Primeval Bounty on top of his library right now?
Yeah, that is a Primeval Bounty.
So this could make some nice... this could be some chump blockers coming up and some life gain, so...
Exactly, yeah. All the abilities of that card
are amazing.
Yeah.
So it looks like he's going to double block the coursers on the Lockstone Smiter, trade 1 for 1, save himself 4 damage. It's a smart play, good play. Very solid.
Yeah, and he's flashing in a Kiora's follower as well, it looks like.
Or I think...
Well,
no, he just moved
it on top,
yeah, he just moved it from the other side over. So he had it on his left side and he just moved it to his right side.
Okay.
But it could have been flashed in, yeah, because he did have a second one, but it looks like it might be in the grave already.
Okay.
So he is going to chump the follower. And it looks like he's trying to keep his profit and maybe 1 courser. Or he'll have 2 coursers alive.
Yeah, and so looks like this puts both players down to 12 now. But yeah, there's not a ton of defense left on Cory Jones' side now.
No.
And there are a ton of Krakens.
There are a lot of Krakens. It's Kraken City.
Yeah.
And now we got the Primeval Bounty, and he flips over a Breeding Pool on top.
Yep.
So...
Which is either gain 2 life or play this land untapped for free.
Yeah. Well, doesn't Bounty interact with that too?
Yeah, Bounty interacts with that too, so you get... I believe it's a little more life gain as well.
I believe it's 3.
Yeah, I believe it's 3.
So he'd be getting 5, which should matter a lot because it looks like we have some 4/4s on their side. So
yeah, that's the thing. Without a trick here, Cory, I believe, is just outside of dead. I think there's there's just 2 Krakens currently.
2 Krakens, 2 coursers.
So yeah, that would be lethal without a trick.
Yeah.
But we do see
populate again, fog it, keeping them alive. So what appeared to be a pretty easy game for Ties turned into a slugfest here.
Yeah, it was interesting that Ty only went in with the Krakens.
So he kept everything else back.
But
Interesting.
that actually worked out well for him because the populate one, it only prevents damage to you. So creatures still deal combat.
It could have
so
eaten the creatures.
yeah, Smiter could have eaten one of those courses, but it looks like that was enough for Ty there, and Ty was able to finish that game off.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, we see that again that early start, and then he kind of fizzled with not really drawing the things that he needed to.
But then the emblem just got him there eventually. I mean, Cory could only hold off the Kraken army for so long, it seems.
Exactly. And we see the opening of Lana Wharf into the turn 2 alternate art called the Conclave.
Yeah. So now it's the exact opposite. Now we're seeing Cory with a fast start and Ty on more of a defensive side.
Well, it's a fast start, but it's a one-land fast start for Cory Jones.
Very true, yeah.
And as we've seen, Cory Jones wants to get up to land off the top there for Cory.
Yeah, he's got to be happy to see that.
Yeah, so
especially a white source too. It's
exactly.
Like 2 white.
Yeah, and then straight into the
voice.
Yeah, that's not Voyage's End. It's the
Cyclonic
Cyclonic
Rift.
Yeah,
Yeah. Which is also a really good card, especially in Ty's deck.
Yes, and it was removal right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in response to the Voice of Resurgence. So no extra token.
No
there.
extra tokens. And it might have been in his main board too. Like I could have seen Ty maybe hitting 1 or 2 Cyclonic Rifts in his main board.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Blow his opponent's board away, swing with Krakens or whatever he has.
Yeah, he does not have the problem of getting to the mana to get there.
Yeah. And if he had any more in his sideboard that he brought in, then it's even better against a token deck.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Yeah, we're seeing the 5/5, and even with a Johnny.
Yeah.
Like your opponent, uses the minus ability, and then all of a sudden it gets returned to his hand.
Yeah.
Kills his Ajani, doesn't get any damage in.
Yeah.
It's his whole plan.
Sets him back. And it looks like he's fighting.
Yeah. Looks like. Yeah, that's the green hate one. I forget the exact name of it, but yeah, it's making green creatures fight.
Gotcha. So Ty's already down at 14, so he's already pretty low. But here's Nykthos, Nylea, so he's going to be taking a lot of damage this turn again.
Yeah, we see Cory hasn't put on, a ton of pressure.
Yeah, it's kind of odd because he still looks like he has at least 3 or 4 cards in his hand.
Yeah, and as we knew that he missed the land drop, so he has to have action in his hand.
He probably has an Advent of the Worm right now because he did leave 4 open.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, that's one of the things that always becomes very obvious in this deck, is when you pass your turn with 4 mana up, it's usually Advent of the Worm.
And it looks like Ty just basically cycled his Shrine to get an Arbor Colossus on the board.
Yep. Which, knowing obviously that worm's coming, having a 6/6 for their 5/5 is probably a good idea.
Yeah. So very good play on that part.
Yeah.
Also helps turn Nylea on.
Yeah, Nylea is 1 away. But
Getting close.
there's some flying and double strike if he wants it, or just making big guys bigger.
And Ty's already at 12 because he has such a slow start.
Yep.
He
could
that
put
Ajani could be the death knell.
Exactly. Because he could put him to 1 this turn, I believe. So he's just going to plus the worm.
And are they trading?
Yeah, it looks like he wants to trade, because next turn that kills you with Ajani.
But I'm surprised that Cory would let that happen.
Well, at the same point, you don't want the Colossus to Monstrous.
Oh, that's true. Yep.
So it's a mutually beneficial trade for both players. They both have reason to be afraid of each other's threat there.
Yeah. Although it's kind of interesting when Ty's playing against Voice and he's playing a deck with Prophet, it makes
it cuts off half of his advantage.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we're seeing, Ajani battling Nylea, and Ajani is definitely going to get the better of it in this state.
Yeah, and Ty's already down to 8, so I can't tell what he has in his hand. Looks like an island, maybe a Primeval Bounty, and 1 other card. So his hand's not looking too promising right now.
Exactly, yeah. And that's the thing is, at this point, it's definitely worth it to... Oh, we're going to see that Primeval Bounty.
He's going to hope to get some more land and get some life.
Yeah, there's the worm.
But
so
that's game right there,
yeah,
so he just scoops.
Yeah, that's the thing is, Advent of the Worm, come out of nowhere, 10 damage, 10 damage just all by itself.
Yeah, I mean, he could have just basically killed him with just the other 2 creatures on the board anyways, but...
Yeah, and we saw in that game that Ty didn't really get to do all this pumpy stuff.
No, he didn't really establish his board at all. I mean, he wasn't able to. Like, he got a Courser down, but it was immediately killed,
and again, a lot of his early turns were, defending some of the aggression.
Yeah.
But yeah, he didn't... But because he's defending that aggression, he didn't get to pump up his mana base and, be ahead the whole game on mana, which is what his deck's really about.
Yeah, we didn't see like any caryatids, we didn't see follower like really. So I mean, there's a lot of Ty's deck, early deck that we didn't see. We just saw kind of a couple of his mid-range cards.
Okay. Yeah, so we're going to be heading into game 3, and we'll see whether Cory Jones is going to be able to have, that good curve out draw. Like, that's how he wins this game.
That top deck Plains was pretty sweet because he just kind of like peeled that top off and just threw it down.
Yeah,
so.
There's a few decks that can get out as fast of a curve as effectively as the Celestia deck.
Yeah.
But yeah, if Ty can ramp his mana and stabilize, he can very easily set up states that are impossible to come back from.
Yeah, it looks like they're playing pretty fast. He has a couple coursers in his hand. It looks like he has Nylea and is trying to nick those. Yeah. And he has a Zagana in his hand.
Exactly. And there's surprisingly dead early turns for both decks.
Yeah, but we have a Brimaz.
Yeah. Which, again, lets you really abuse those tokens. But yeah, it's interesting that both players didn't make a play until turn 3.
Yeah, so both kind of slow starts.
Yeah, both players want to take advantage of early mana and early big creatures, so it's kind of interesting that it played out that way.
Yeah. Luckily, Courser actually does have the 4 toughness, so that actually is a huge factor right now.
Exactly. One of the advantages besides the life gain is, it's incredible defensive abilities.
Yeah, especially against Brimaz right now. Although it would kill the Courser if it decided to block, but...
Yeah. When you have a second one, you're less worried about that, though.
Yeah, I mean, if Brimaz attacks, he just double blocks, and then Brimaz dies.
Yep. Yeah, and we see, that...
And yeah, it keeps the Brimaz from attacking, so... Coursers are doing work.
Yeah, so we see the Smiter, so... Yeah, it seems like Cory's hand is just a bunch of 3s and 4s.
And here we have one of the newest cards to add Mana Confluence. What about that card?
Yeah, I've been seeing it, like... Most decks, it's better in aggressive decks, but because Ty gains so much life, the effects are fairly negligible.
Yes, definitely.
Because if you're playing it in like an Esper control or a blue-white control, you're gonna, the Mana Confluence is gonna do too much damage to you.
Definitely. And we see here Ty is just basically trying to establish his board and play defensive until he can actually get, like, say, a Kiora or a Zagana.
Or that Cyclonic Rift on top that I think he can overload with that Shrine.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that is not where you want to be at.
No, especially with Ty at that much life and you really haven't done anything.
And that is the very important thing of removing that Nylea.
Yes.
Because if you don't remove that Nylea, you're dead in 2 turns, basically.
Yeah. So now he's able to attack, but we might see the Coursers trade one of them for the Brimaz here, or... Yeah,
I think you definitely need to get rid of that Brimaz, because it's going to be a problem.
And right now Cory's tapped out, so it's you can kind of get a free creature right here.
Also, your mana's good enough that you can... The Kiora's Follower... I guess you still want the Kiora's Follower for that Nexus.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's just trying to decide which one of those is going to be better for you. Whether you need to keep, a Courser so that you can gain more life, or if you want to be able to use your Shrine to really be explosive.
Yeah. So it looks like he just takes it, and we know he has a Zagana in his hand still, so and a Cyclonic Rift, and he flips over a Breeding Pool. So. Yeah.
And again, he has the play it untapped for no life gain or gain 2 life and have it tapped.
Exactly.
Yeah, Courser just gives you so many more options.
Although one of the main downsides is now that Cory knows he has a Cyclonic Rift in his hand, he can try his very best to play around it.
Yeah, the problem is that Ty's at 15 still, and Ty's commits to the board as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so if you don't commit to the board, he just outboards you and runs you over.
Yeah.
We're going to see the Shrine making 5 mana.
Yeah, he'll probably be playing a Zagana right now, I would have to assume. Unless he's going to save for the Rift.
Yeah, it's interesting to see if he wants to just Rift to make Cory start over, basically.
Yeah. I mean, he'll get rid of only 1 token, and then, yeah, he'll start over, but...
Exactly. But if Cory does have a land, he'd be on 6 and be able to play 2 of his 3 drops right away.
Yeah. And then the other thing is he has the Rift, but he also sees an Advent to the Worm on the other side, so does he play it now, or does he hold it till that token comes down eventually?
Yeah, and so it looks like he's going to wait for that token.
And then it looks like Cory flips over a Caryatid on top of his library.
Yeah, so that's not going to help him advancing at all here.
No.
Yeah, but the Temple is one of the things that can catch you up. It's still smaller than a Kraken at 8/8, but...
Yeah. Although it turns into a token.
Yeah, which you can then populate.
Yeah, populate, or it can get rifted away.
Exactly.
So...
Yeah, that is true. That all the work of templating, it can just go right away.
Exactly, yeah. So it turns out Cyclonic Rift still a thing, still good.
So you might notice as well that Ty has Shrine of Nykthos on top of his library as well.
Yes.
Which means with Follower, he basically has access to 3 shrines this turn.
And it looks like he's getting a lot of life with all these lands.
Yeah, as yet another land is added up on top.
So it appears he's just basically nullifying the Loxodon and Smiter by just gaining enough life each turn, while increasing his mana pool.
It is. It's basically a Jace, you know, that they let you lower your opponent's creature's power, sort of.
Yeah, sort of. And you also get a kind of a time walk in terms of being able to play extra lands.
Exactly. It's almost both parts of the Jace.
Almost.
Yeah,
so this is a kind of tough call for Ty. What is he going to do?
Yeah, it is. It's easy to feel like you can play it safe here. The problem is you are at 13, and we've seen that with a Johnny and, you know, a variety of other cards that Cory can be very explosive out of nowhere.
So we're going to see the Rift right now, because Zagana only costs 6.
Yeah, and that is one of the tricks of playing, because both players are
playing the Zagana.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're both kind of working with more or less perfect information here, with their coursers showing each other their draws. So they've kind of been pulled into this, you know, Advent of the Worm, Cyclonic Rift game.
Yeah.
Because Cyclonic Rift's a sorcery, and Advent of the Worm's an instant, you can never really win that battle, because you can't Cyclonic Rift first, because they always get to Advent of the Worm.
Yeah, because you have to wait for it. But it looks like from Zagana drawing cards, he drew a couple of mana dorks, and on top of his deck actually is Nylea's Disciple, I believe.
Okay.
So it's gains life equal to Devotion
Okay,
to Green. So that is a huge card coming down.
Yeah, that is key in this matchup of just being able to, because like we said, this 13 is not safe because end of turn token plus a Johnny's 10 all by itself.
Exactly. But if he plays that card, I mean, he's looking at 2, 4, 6, 7, 9 life just from that one card on the current board state. But he has a couple of mana dorks he can play, so he's going to get over 10 life with that Nylea.
Yeah, and it looks like he does have a Primeval Bounty in hand as well.
So even more.
Yeah, so I think this is the turn that after Ty finishes, he has to survive this turn.
Yes.
And then he's going to be a lot safer.
Then he goes through all his Nykthoses.
Yeah, but playing that land gets him up to 15 from his coursers.
Still no Kiora, so we haven't seen that come down into play. Game 2 or in Game 3 yet.
Yeah, and he decided to go with the island and not the second Nykthos.
Yes.
But yeah, he does untap the Nykthos. And so that's going to give him, that's 7 mana.
So he's getting the Carry Tid and the Elvish Mystic, and then just passing.
Yeah, and that's going to be a whole lot of life gain next turn.
Yes.
And we see that, he finally pulled the trigger on that Advent of the Worm here. Because Cory's recognizing that this is the turn he has to kill him.
And then there's a Johnny on top of his library, though.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's a little too late.
Because he sees now as his opening, because he knows the Cyclonic Rift's going to be coming down and ruining his day.
Exactly. But, let's see, even with a Johnny here, he just doesn't have enough enough guys to just brute force his way through.
Yeah. So it appears Ty's probably going to take somewhere in the vicinity of 8 damage. He's just going to chump block with his dorks and survive the turn, use the coursers a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah, he's just figuring out the number that he needs to stay above.
And I can't tell how many cards Cory has in his hand, but he could have some pump too, which is probably what Ty's thinking about, and maybe when he's to actually block with the coursers.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is having the knowing that you have the Disciple on top.
Yes.
And then having Primeval in hand as well. Like, you can be a little more negligent with your coursers.
True.
Because that life's coming back.
Yeah, and he still looks like he keeps his coursers, he keeps Zagana, and he has a follower.
Yeah.
So he has plenty to gain back all that life he just lost.
Yeah, and so we know he has the Shrine in hand, so that's going to get him up to 9. And then we have at least a minimum of 7 life gain back, up to 14.
And another Zagana on top of the library, if the game lasts that long, which it probably will, actually.
Yeah, Ty's still got some work to, get up to a safe level.
Yes, definitely.
Because, all those chump blocks, they were chump blocks. He got his board eaten away without really making a huge impact on Cory's.
And he knows he has to get to a certain amount of life, because he's at 7, he's staring down at Johnny. I mean, he's got to do something, which here he plays the Disciple.
And so that should...
Gains 9.
Yeah, because it wasn't counting itself when I was doing the map before.
Exactly, yeah.
That's where my 7 came from.
Yeah.
Yeah, Devotion counts itself.
Yeah, which is good. What do you think about the new Constellation? Counts itself, other things.
Good.
Any good Constellation cards? Like what about Eidolon Blossoms? Do you think?
Yeah,
that
I
could
know
see-
that Eidolon of Blossoms has seen a lot of play at the Pro Tour today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like black green Constellation deck with Farika.
Oh, excellent. So one of the new gods.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because the Farika tokens are enchantments.
Let's get the snakes out there.
Yeah, and they play a Doomweight Giant in that deck too.
Interesting.
Yeah, so just full-on black green Constellation.
Does sound like a fun deck though.
Yeah, I think it's one that we'll see translate into Modern.
Yeah.
But yeah, we see the Sejani coming down, and
Best target's probably the worm token.
yeah, and it'll be interesting. Is he going to go for the kill now, or is he going to be a little patient?
Well, he does know that there's still a rift in his hand, in Ty's hand.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
oh, he does have Curious Follower on tap, so we actually are going to see Grift come down now. So, it's going to not matter at all.
Yeah. Yeah, so we see that Rift come down and, yeah, sweep up the board.
And now it's 17 life, and he's staring down 2 turns and dead.
Yep.
But also, again, Ty's going to be playing another Zagana, drawing a ton of cards.
Yeah, absolutely. And, yeah, Cory's hand is full, but not in the way he wants it to be.
Exactly, yeah.
And Cory is still playing with the top of his library revealed, though. It's the always tricky thing when coursers go away is it's easy to forget about those.
He'll probably remember it as soon as he picks that card up, though.
Exactly.
He'll be like, oh, that's right.
Exactly. It's sharing the information that was already public, right?
Yeah, exactly. He's just being a good sport. But I don't see why you wouldn't play Zagana right now.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not in, a threat of decking himself here.
So there's the Zagana.
Yep.
He's going to draw some cards. Kill the first one, of course.
Yeah.
Because they are legends.
Exactly. And it's interesting that he decided to do this pre-combat.
Yeah, instead of swinging first. But his deck is able to play so many different cards. He probably figured if I draw like 3-4 cards, I can probably draw something that's going to matter right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Find another rift to just be able to bounce that.
Yeah, and then that's insurance that he's like, I win the game.
Exactly.
So let's get some more land, gain some more life here in a moment. And a profit.
Yep.
So we do see the profit come down. So now, how many Nykthos is that?
That's a whole bunch of Nykthos.
That's a lot of Nykthos.
Exactly.
So you got the profit, you got the follower, you're just untapping and tapping. All he's missing now is Crufix the God and just store that mana up.
I'm pretty sure at this point you could win with a Dark Steel Reactor. Like, it's not insane anymore, but pretty sure you just keep adding tokens. Like, you have nearly unlimited mana here.
Yeah. He might just be able just to take him down with some of these 2-4. And there's a bounty, actually, so...
Yeah, it's been sitting in the hand. Being a little relegated because of all the other, big things that have been needing to come out first.
Yeah, and there's another token creature. So it basically looks like Ty's just trying to play as safe as possible. I mean, he could play a little more aggressive than he is right now, but...
Yeah, that's the thing, is you get aggressive against Cory and you take 20.
That's true, yeah. And so he's gaining his life, he's setting up his board again. He's back up to 20 now. He's getting kind of low, he's down to like 6, 7.
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah, he's definitely out of the danger zone here where, yeah, we have a little jump ahead here, but yeah, as we can see, yeah, it's just more of the same with the board being controlled by Ty, and he's just taking advantage of his increment as
And
just
just
slow grind of death.
Yeah, slow grind. I mean, it looks like the worm's going to trade here with Zagana. Or actually, Zagana's just going to get eaten, actually, because it's a 1-1.
Yeah.
So Zagana just gets eaten. But the board presence is still favoring Ty.
Exactly, and that Primeval bounty just makes every advantage bigger.
And plus, he's going to be gaining 5 life a turn from every land. I mean, you can see the temple on top. He's going to just play that down and gain 5 up to 30.
Exactly. Yeah,
It's getting out of hand.
And Cory's deck is designed to do 20 damage, not decided to do 25.
Or 30, or 35.
Exactly.
And there's the Johnny again that he played earlier. But can he even go aggressive now? Because he's at 14, and those coursers and followers and everything do add up to a lot of damage.
Yeah, that's the thing is, yeah, he has to go into a stare you down incremental battle against a deck that all it does is get incremental advantages. Yeah, so this is, yeah, it's bad whenever you get into a situation where your game plan has to become what the other deck's built game plan is.
Yeah. And we just see Ty here, like, throwing in an Elvish Mystic for fun, making a 3/3 beast, making his board presence just a little bit bigger, more chumps.
Exactly, and another Primeval bounty on top as well.
Yeah.
So the other thing is, yeah, it just keeps building and building.
And he still has a lot of his deck left to go, so I mean, he gets another bounty down, he can just gain 30 life. He's not unrealistic.
Yeah, I don't think we're putting Cory on planar cleansing or anything here to catch up it. Although it wouldn't be the worst sideboard option knowing that there are decks like this that are such huge value and that you can't get it quick enough.
So it looks like Ty just played the Nykthos just to gain the life?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't need the mana.
Yeah, exactly. He has, he doesn't need any more commitment to the board. Like, he can do it next turn if he wants to even.
Exactly. Yeah,
Wait,
so I like that.
Yeah, you definitely want to keep your life total as high as possible here, though.
I might have been tempted just to hold it back just in case, but I mean, going down there getting the extra couple life,
Yeah, that's the thing.
that could be that could matter. That could matter.
You're probably not going to be needing, an additional 12 mana anytime soon.
Yeah. And it looks like Ty is about to take a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like Cory's going to draw, 10 cards? Something?
That's a lot of cards to draw, but, I mean, even drawing 10 cards here...
He only has 2 mana. 3 mana, actually, says carried did.
Exactly.
18 cards.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly. Is that 30 putting down 12? Yeah, it's 18.
18.
And that's right to the bottom.
Get the planes out of there. Although he is...
Exactly.
Now he should be revealing the top card of his library, but he has to count all those cards in his hand, too.
Exactly. Yeah. This is the process of what 7 cards do you keep?
So it's basically like, here's my land, I'm going to throw that in the bin,
Yeah,
and then
here,
see what's good.
You even have Courser Kufix, though. So those lands have a value.
Yeah, that's true.
And what do you do when you've drawn 18 cards and have to discard
Oh, let's
17?
do that pretty quick. You just discarded a ton of, land and mana dorks and stuff.
He knows the cards he needs to win the game.
Yeah. He's played the deck before, probably.
Exactly, yeah. This is one of Cory's main decks that he plays frequently.
Okay.
He's just been on Nigh Hexproof a lot more recently.
Yeah. How does his deck normally fare up, during the FNMs? Is he
Oh,
usually
he top 8s frequently.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that, again, when you take on Jund decks and decks like this that are just bigger than you, it creates a lot of problems.
Yeah.
But having that, win out of nowhere aspect.
Is fantastic. We just saw him, what he did.
Exactly. Yeah, so
Coming
he
in
just did
there.
18 and drew 18 cards.
Yeah. Looks like that other bounty comes down.
Yeah, he's dropped back, Ty's gone back down under 20. He knows he has to rebuild his life total now.
Yes. And now every land that comes down is worth, 8 life?
Yeah, 8 life.
So there's 8 life.
Yeah.
And Kira's follower.
I think he only gained 5 there. I think he forgot one of his Primeval Bounty triggers.
I believe so, yeah. Oh, there he goes. Looks like he's getting
counting
combined
it up.
right now. I think. Or he's counting his devotion.
Yeah, he might just be counting devotion.
There he goes. He corrects the life total, gets up to 20, what he should be at.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's hard to keep track of all those triggers.
Yeah, especially this last entire round. Draw 16 or draw 18, play a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, both sides are kind of having a lot of stuff to deal with.
So I'll say right now, if you were to play Ty's deck on Magic Online, you'd probably lose every game just to your own clock. Because this is a lot of mechanical things that you need to do to get through a game.
Very true. Much easier to do with your hands than it is with the mouse.
Exactly. And I mean, you can make, because there's so much going on, in paper as well, there's a lot of mistakes that can be made.
Yes.
So you have, this is a deck that you need to be very aware when you're playing.
Yeah.
This combat step is turn 1 of extra turns.
Okay. So it looks like they had reached the time limit, as we saw, especially game 2 was very grindy.
Yeah. And so it looks like they're in the first turn, right?
Yeah, the first turn of extra turns now.
And that's why you see Ty putting on the pressure and swinging out his coursers and all his beast tokens.
Yeah, because neither of these players want to tie.
No, they want to win. And we haven't seen Ty draw another Cyclonic Rift, so it might be a single. I doubt it. I would think he'd be running 2 or 3.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's that his focuses are on a lot of other things besides it. And sometimes, you just have that one card as a silver bullet to get you out of situations.
Yeah.
But you don't want to, drown your hand with having a bunch of silver bullets.
Yeah. And it looks like Cory's forgetting about his courser again for the top of his library. And then Johnny's still there, apparently.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, that's it.
But do you see Cory playing for the draw now, though? Because his board state, I think
Yeah,
you
he's
do.
just too far behind. Because you're not going to get 20 through there very easily.
Plus, anytime he's playing a land, he's gaining 8.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah,
28.
28. Yeah, it's not a race you're gonna win, even when you're a Johnny like pumped up worms.
That was a great. Oh, so he scries it away, which was a great move, only to flip over another Caryatid.
Yep. Sometimes it's more of the same.
Yeah, and I guarantee you he's probably looking for something like Cyclonic Rift. Let me dig to that, and then let me end this game right now.
Yeah. So that looks like they're going to turn 3 here.
Turn
now.
3.
But at the end of the turn.
Populate.
Yep.
So maybe he is going for the win.
Cory's turn is turn 4. Cory's
Oh,
turn
Cory's-
will be turn 4.
Okay, so Cory's turn is going to be turn 4.
So turn 4 now. So then Ty has one more turn to win.
I
So
believe
that's-
this is still an end of turn for Ty here.
Oh, is it?
So
Okay.
yeah, it was end of turn populate, end of turn make another worm, end of turn
Rootborn defenses.
Rootborn defenses to make another
Populate,
worm.
yeah.
So 28's more achievable than it was a little while ago.
But he still might be playing for the tie, so I mean that gives him a lot of blockers.
Yeah,
so.
that is a big advantage too. Is that this gives Cory the chance to do all the math, and then at the end of it, if he can't do it, he's pretty much assured a tie.
Yeah. Although if he makes a mistake and he swings out too much,
Exactly.
that could be bad.
And that's the thing is we have to figure: can I kill you? If not, I don't even attack you.
It looks like he played another Avent.
Yeah.
Is he counting devotion or is he counting creatures?
I think he's counting creatures. Oh, because the voice of resurgence is equal to the creature, the token.
And he's making it fight.
Yeah, and then he's making them fight. Yeah, yeah. So that's going to be an 11/11 Fido burst. So +5/+5, make it 16/16. Attack for 32.
On his final turn.
Yeah, on his final turn.
Wow.
So we've seen a 40/40 Mistcutter Hydra and a 32 or a 16/16 double striker.
And we're still seeing a lot of Shrine to Nykthos.
Yep. Yeah, Shrine's still the card. I guess it is. I don't know if you played during Odyssey,
I did, yeah.
but Cabal Coffers was one of the defining cards.
Yeah. Of that, you play a little Chainer's Edict, things like that, have a little fun.
Yeah, so when you give every color access to Cabal Coffers,
It changes things.
exactly, it's, every deck wants to take advantage of the most powerful cards.
Yes.
And having obscene amounts of mana in short order is a pretty good way to abuse power.
Exactly. And I mean, once we see Shrine to Nykthos, it seems like it's one of those cards that's just going to get better and better in Standard. Some other cards that I was thinking about with Journey coming in is the new Ram, the 1-mana Ram, the Nyx Fleece Ram.
Or it's a white one, isn't it, for the 05?
Yeah, 05, yeah. And you gain a life a turn.
I love that card.
It seems really good.
Yeah. Like the thing that we always like to point out on that card as well, does not have Defender.
No, it doesn't.
So yeah, in limited, that guy gets to get beefed up if you want to go with
You
like,
want it.
even if you want to go in standard or maybe block and go with like some sort of heroic deck, you can bestow things onto it, and then you've got, +0/+5 is pretty big, especially in limited, right?
Yes. It's like a mosquito.
Yeah, summer's in full bloom.
Yes, definitely.
But yeah, so is there any particular cards that you're especially excited to brew with now that Journey of Nyx has come out and we're seeing a little more of it?
Well, one of the decks that I was working on that I've been playing this last week was I was running Oracle of Bones with the new Revelry card.
Okay, so tell me remind me of Oracle of Bones.
Oracle Bones is 2 colorless, 2 red. It's a 3/1 with haste, and it has tribute. So your opponent chooses, and it either becomes a 5/3 with haste, or they let you cast a spell for free. from the
Okay, yeah, I
hand.
know the one.
Yeah. So I'm basically playing with the Revelry card. So if they decide like, oh hey, I'm gonna have you have a 3/1, you can play a spell. I play the Revelry. I get 4 2/2s with haste into play, so it's 8 more damage. And I'm of course playing Perforos as well. So it's kind of it's a little janky deck, but it's a fun deck. I like
It is
playing
fun.
it. It's fun.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I've already drawn the Odyssey parallel with the Cabal Coffers.
Yes.
But we all know where that tribute mechanic originally began out in Odyssey, as well as what it didn't have a keyword, but everybody referred to it as the Punisher mechanic.
Okay, yeah.
Where, like Browbeat, for instance, is basically a tribute card.
Yeah.
Blazing Salvo.
Browbeat, fantastic red card. I mean, yeah, I remember those days. That was a fun card to play with.
But again, like the problem you always see with those cards, which why you don't see them played as much, is that you always get the worst of the two results.
Yes.
Yes. Because you're letting your opponent control it.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite cards from back in those days was probably like Fact or Fiction.
Yeah.
I mean, just fun cards like that.
Just keep in mind, Fact or Fiction and Grim Lavamancer were in standard together.
They were.
So that's going to be a turn that at least one person over and over and over again, Fact or Fiction, filling up my graveyard, and then just getting to throw them at your face.
That wouldn't be fun to look down. Like you're just sitting there like, well, I can't really do anything, and just getting beat up by a Grim Lavamancer.
Sadly, that was also the time of ATOGs.
Yes, you have the
Especially
second Tog.
Yeah, so that doesn't make for as fun games where everything gets countered or killed anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so we did have our Arena League championship as well recently.
Oh, really? How'd that turn out?
I am not exactly sure of the exact results.
Yeah.
But I do know that we have opened up a new arena as well.
Oh, that's right. You were making a deck earlier, weren't you?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I was working on a red-green heroic deck.
Always fun. I remember doing a draft pretty recently, and I had 4 Citizen Oathsworns in my deck, and a lot of like pump spells and strive spells. It didn't work out very well, but it could have.
And again, this is sealed, where in draft it's a little more focused. So you get to pick the removal, you get more opportunities to see removal.
Definitely.
Yeah. So in sealed you get to punish a lot more with your big over-the-top cards.
Yeah.
And I have, I think, 4 or 5 different creatures that when you heroic, they get more than 1/1/1 counter.
So they get 2. So you're talking about like the some of those centaurs then.
Yeah, like the 3/4 for 5 that gets 2 tokens when you heroic it.
Okay.
I have the
Thunderhoof, probably. He's a 5 mana for a. I believe he's a 3/3 or 4/4. Is that the one you're talking about? That gets 2 counters.
It's 5 mana for I think a 3/4.
3/4. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's the 1/1 Satyr that gets for 3 that gets +2 +1/+1 counters.
All right. Nice.
I have triple Titan Strength.
That's pretty good. That's. I mean, this is and the way the arena works is you get to keep adding on packs, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So every week, so you pay the initial fee to come in,
Yeah.
and then you get to build the deck out of I believe it's 5 packs.
Nice.
And then like that typically you'll see in between rounds, especially when people have finished their round but they're waiting for the next round to begin. Like you see a lot of games in arena.
Just pull the arena, and they get to choose cards from a box when they win.
Yeah, so whenever you win, there's a box that I believe it's a full box of. I'm not sure if I assume it'd be Journey of Nyx.
That's what I would assume too. Yeah, because they're going in the Nyx.
Okay, and so basically whenever you win, you have to go and pick a random card out of the box. So there's mythics, there's rares. It's an entire box.
Yeah, I think I remember doing arena for 1 week, and I opened a Thassa and a Hero's Downfall Rowan Theros came out, but then I got super busy so I couldn't really play it, and then but still having that power level, like you can really open some amazing decks. Like it sounds like yours could end up being just like a huge beating deck.
Yeah, and the nice thing is every week when you choose your pack, like you get to choose which pack from Theros block you get as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, like we're at the point where you can buy the first pack. So I was in red-green, so I went for Theros because I wanted more Titan Strengths, more Dragon Mantles. Nessian Asp is always nice. Like it seemed like the right pack for red-green.
You could even open a Mistcutter Hydra, which would be pretty good.
Exactly. Yeah. Hedging
Unlikely,
on the harder
but
cards.
yeah, but on the commons and uncommons more so.
So we saw Cory Jones steal 2 games out of nowhere there.
Yeah, that was impressive. Very impressive. I didn't think he could possibly do that much damage, but then he proved us wrong, or proved me wrong.
He did 18 and then 32. So he did 50 in 2 turns.
Yeah. And
So
it was only a little bit more than he needed to. Like it was.
Exactly.
He needed to do that 50.
Yeah, it's pretty close. So that'll lead us into our next match. So we'll see if this match has creature over 30 power or not. Because if it's not, it'll be the first match of the night without 30 power.
Yeah. And the next one we're seeing is two ones, I believe.
Yep. So it's going to
against each other.
Yeah. So it's Doff versus Nicholas.
Okay.
Yeah. So back-to-back Vissers for us here.
Yes. They always bring pretty solid decks, though.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that you kind of forget sometimes about the community that we have here is, we've seen so many brothers. We've seen Bull Deep and Jaws Deep.
Yep.
We've seen Stan and DJ Dirts. We see the Vissers like
the Vissers.
It's great to be able to enjoy things with your friends and family.
Yeah, it's a community thing. Like even my brother used to play here with me.
Yeah.
William, he's a mainstay for drafting and stuff like that. He's gotten out of it a little bit, but
yeah, it's always sad because it's hard to keep up.
Yeah, it is. Like I've been in and out of it for. Like I played during Psychotog and Aussie days, and I took a break for Judgment and those blocks. But
Yeah, and so we see Doff opening up with the Soldier of Pantheon.
which I think is probably one of the best one drops in Standard. And if it's not the best, then after rotation, it probably will be the best for aggro or for even mid range.
Exactly. The problem is when you rotate, it's secondary, once you rotate, its secondary ability will become worse because there's less multicolor.
So many multicolors, yeah.
But yeah, the card's not really about its secondary ability. This is just a 2-1-for-1 that gets some other advantages.
Like, I really like it because people will, like, forget about it, the multicolored aspect, and they'll swing with, like, here's the voice. They will swing with the voice against you. You're like, well, I have a Soldier Pantheon.
Yeah, exactly. And it looks like Nicholas has opened up into the race. It looks like he's on black-white, and we're seeing the 1/1 that makes your opponent lose 2 life whenever you attack with it as well.
Yeah, and then Doff's, of course, playing Naya, it looks like.
Yeah, and Doff has played a lot of Naya in the past as well.
Yeah, it looks like he has another voice in his hand and a Boros Reckoner. So he's got some pretty powerful cards in his hand right now.
Yeah, Doff has always kept this deck where he can win very, very fast.
You think we see like an Atheros right now? Nope, we see a Zathrid Necromancer.
Yeah, so unfortunately, no other humans besides itself right now.
Right now. But we did see Black-White humans be extremely powerful in the recent past in Standard.
Okay, so yeah, like, I have heard pray tell of people playing Cartel Aristocrat in this deck. Bringing back the gentleman.
Bringing them back. I've heard speculation about Zathrid Necromancer. Like, it kind of had its day in the sun, it kind of got pushed aside, but it's still a very powerful card.
Yeah, it's a very powerful mechanic, and adding the Black-White God, reawakening, Cartel Aristocrat, you have a lot of tools to really make it abusive.
Yeah. And it looks like Ty's unfortunately stuck on 2 land, but he does land a Fleecemane Lion, so he does have a big board presence right now.
Yeah, and Doff doesn't need a lot of mana to establish himself on the board.
Correct,
But yeah, he's still one back of that Boros Reckoner that's just waiting in hand.
Yeah. Which you would love to play down, for sure.
But yeah, so we're going to see Orzhov Pontiff.
No, it's actually a High
not
Priest of
Pontiff.
Penance.
Yeah, High Priest of Penance. Sorry, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the 1/1 that when it's dealt damage, you get to destroy a target permanent.
No, I think it's just. I actually forget the wording on that. 'Cause it's not really ever played too much. I mean, I've tried thinking about it, but.
Yeah, I believe it's when it's dealt damage, it destroys target permanent. Non-land permanent.
And then we also see the Pantheon. So we have the Pantheon versus the Pantheon.
Yeah, but that is an interesting interaction because it is a human as well.
Yeah, it is a human. So it makes a zombie.
Yeah.
And it kills something.
Yeah, exactly. So having the effect of being in combat, like right here, it can kill Soldier of Pantheon.
Well, it can't because it can't target because it's multiple.
Oh, you're right. It can't block there.
But it can take down the much bigger Fleecemane Lion.
Exactly, and long before it becomes monstrous and undealable with.
Exactly. And then we see how Doff here read that card because it's kind of a card that's just seeing a little bit of that play
Exactly,
now.
and it's seen some play in sideboards, especially when it first came out. But yeah, it's a card that drifted away pretty easily.
Yeah, and does he have a Boros Charm in his hand as well?
Yeah, he does have a Boros Charm. Like I said, Doff likes to do a lot of damage very quickly with this Naya deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it looked like the Priest of High Penance had destroyed the... I think they're trying to figure out whether or not he could destroy the token since the Voice of Resurgence died in combat.
Okay. But wouldn't it be done simultaneously, and then it goes on the stack?
So it should be active and active. So what happens is at the same time that it's dealt damage, those triggers should go on.
So they're trying to do a judge right now.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think
you can target it, but maybe not.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because I believe. Yeah, I'm trying to remember when players gain priority again. Because Doff's ability would go on the stack first, but the High Priest ability is triggered by damage, not a creature going to the graveyard.
Yeah, why do you think that he didn't trade Pantheons right here?
Yeah, I'm not so...
Or attempt to, at least. He didn't. Of course, he doesn't know there's Boros Charmer in his opponent's hand, but... So it looks like they're realizing the trigger, so they do gain one. He does gain 1.
Yeah, they're just working out the game state here. So yeah, figuring out the damage they got through.
That's a lot of different interactions in the first 3 turns.
Yeah.
So even though they're both playing very aggressive decks, it's still taking a little bit of time for them to figure this all out.
And that's the thing, is there's a lot of complicated interactions.
Yeah. It would be even more interesting to see Atheros being played here, and then along with Zathor Necromancer, which we were talking about. Like, do you see that being a very good standard card?
Yeah, I think like this is a deck that has to be built around Atheros, right? With cards like Priest of High Penance. Like,
exactly.
That's the perfect card
and
to be bringing back all
Necromancer.
the time.
You're like, do you want me to have this Necromancer back? Because I'd love to have this Necromancer back.
Right. And you're already, applying pressure. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see Tormented Hero in this deck as well.
I can see that too, yeah. Have the Pantheon plus the hero, have 8 1-drops that have 2 power.
And we see Ajani doing what it did for Cory Jones as well, which is threatening very large amounts of damage.
Yes.
It's not a big amount yet, but looks like he grew one of the zombie tokens.
And we do see that Doff and Nicholas are both at 14, so this is going to end in a turn. Like, one turn is just going to be someone taking 14 damage.
Exactly, yeah, because it's a race, but they both have a lot of damage to be explosive to win a race.
Yeah. Do you favor probably Doff more then, because he does have cards like Boros Charm and things like that?
Like, on this board, this is a very close game, because if you look at it, Doff has 2 3/3s and a 2/1 versus a 2/1, a 2/2, and a 3/3 and a Ajani.
Yeah.
So Ajani is the big difference maker right now.
And the tokens are black zombies. They're black, right?
Yeah, I believe they are black zombies. Yeah, so yeah, Ajani gives the slight advantage, but because Nick had attacked last turn, he's a little behind as well.
Yeah. Because Johnny might be... he could kill Johnny right now.
Yeah, and I think with... like, 11 is low, but it's not crazy low. So I think, yeah, you have to be able to deal with Ajani, but I think... Doff's deck is about dealing as much damage to your opponent as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So I think because he has a level of reach, that he just has to take advantage of his deck advantage of having more reach.
I think Doff might be realizing that he probably, like, it's an odd attack because the Pantheon does just chump that Fleecemane, take no damage. So
Yeah.
he's kind of throwing his Pantheon away.
Yeah, he's trading a token for his 2/1. So he's going to get the trample, though.
Yeah, so it's going to go through the Pantheon.
For
and
4
hit.
damage. Because it's a 5/5 with trample, so 1 and then 4 over.
Yeah.
So that would be... so yeah, so he's going to be taking 4 plus another 3 from the...
So 7.
token. 7, we'll put him at 7, but then...
And the other 2 trade.
Yep. Yeah, and then... yeah, so Doff is going to be left with the Lion and the token, which will drop down to a 2/2 after combat.
Yeah.
And then Soldier Pantheon and a 3/3. So they're, again, very, very close on board. It's just a Johnny.
Yeah, although unless he swung in... okay, so it looks like he did swing and targeted Johnny, so he is killing a Johnny.
Okay.
So Johnny isn't dead.
Yep, so I'd say that is definitely well worth it to get that.
For sure.
Because, yeah, that's... at some point, that's going to be at you.
Yeah, and then if he plays a temple here, Scries. Yeah. Looks like he's keeping... oh, he's putting on bottom.
Yeah, and if there's a time that you want to be scrying, it's this. We have very limited turns to kill each other.
Exactly.
We're both trying to kill each other.
And Doff finally got access to his 3rd mana, which is probably important to his deck in some way. Yeah. He still has a voice in his hand.
He has Boros Reckoner in hand.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
You want to win a land race? Boros Reckoner.
Definitely. And even when it takes damage from something like a Soldier of the Pantheon, he can still redirect it to Nicholas's face.
Exactly. And he can even use the seldom used first strike ability as well, too.
Yes.
However, Soldier of the Pantheon creates a lot of problems with that as well.
So we see an Aegis of the Gods come down. That's kind of an interesting card.
That is. So do you want to refresh me on that one?
I believe it's a 2/1, and then I forget what its ability exactly does.
You have expert.
Okay, so it's the remake True Believer guy.
Yeah.
Where True Believer was a 2/2 cleric that gave you Shroud. Now you get Hexproof.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I don't know really, and maybe he's just doing it because he's running it because he's afraid of red or like mono red, or I guess Boros Charm does do it to his face.
So, in general for deck building, a big card in this format is Rakdos Return.
Okay, so that just nullifies that.
Yeah, so not getting Rakdos returned in the face is a big thing. Red, white, and mono red burn are both real decks.
Yes.
So yeah, being able to protect your face from, Boros Charm, from lightning strikes. Yeah, it can be very useful, and it's a 2/1 enchantment creature for 2.
Yeah, and then we see Doff get a 4th land off the top, play down his Pantheon, play his Reckoner, and he's just putting pressure on now. I mean, Nicholas's board, even though he has the Aegis, does not look good.
Yeah, and so, yeah, it looks like Nicholas is trying to see if he's remembering the trigger off of that Reckoner since it is multicolored, or if he's just going for damage from being attacked.
Yeah, he might forget. And Doff is at 6, and now Nicholas is at 7, so it's a tight one.
Yeah. And again, that brings up a big thing that's very, very important, is when you're playing, slowing down, make sure that you're aware of all of your triggers.
Yes,
Because it's so easy to miss simple triggers like those ones.
Especially on a card like Soldier of the Pantheon that has so many abilities for a
Yeah.
1-drop.
Exactly.
It's a 1-drop with that many abilities.
And you're not playing it for what it does. You're playing
Correct.
it as a 2-1, as we were
Yeah.
saying before, like the, gain a life whenever multicolor happens. So here's an interest, that the battlefield medic,
Frontline medic.
frontline medic.
And, and he looks like he's also doing Brave the Elements, all his white creatures, protection from a color of his choice.
Yeah. I'm gonna assume that those white guys are gonna be pro-white.
I would assume so. And is that 6 damage though?
So that is 7
3,
damage.
4, yep, 7 damage. So that'll do it.
Yep, and yeah, Doff is tapped out.
Yep. So really didn't even need to play the frontline medic.
Just wanted Doff know that next turn they would have been indestructible.
Yes, exactly. Although that might not be the best play though, because he is giving information. It looks like he does have a Failing Savior in his hands too. Nicholas does.
Yeah, like sometimes you don't do the math yourself and start playing it, and then you're like, oh, I just kill you.
Yeah.
Like that happens sometimes too.
So that's probably what happened, because ideally he probably doesn't want Doff knowing that he actually has something like that.
So I think they're forgetting
because the zombie's black.
Oh, the zombie is black.
So it doesn't work with it. So actually he probably is alive now.
Yep.
So that explains why he played the front line.
Exactly. And so off of that, he's going to be taking 3 damage to his face as well.
But he can't, I'm not sure if he can target him with the hexproof.
Oh, you're right. So he probably wants to kill the medic.
But
He can't target the Soldier of Pantheon.
Can't target Soldier, and killing the Aegis is not worth it.
Yeah, not unless you have lethal in your hand.
Yeah, unless he had like a Borostrom or something.
Okay, yeah. He had the Borostrom in hand.
Okay, so he ends it.
So yeah, a little cut out early, but yeah, 4 to the face when you're at 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, that's what Doff's deck is all about, is get you low with his aggressive creatures and then just throw things at your face.
Are we seeing a lot of Supreme Verdicts being played? Because it seems like we're seeing a lot of creature-heavy decks.
Yeah,
Supreme Verdict would be very good.
And yeah, we went through a little cycle of this when Born of Gods came out too.
Yeah.
Is that it was a whole bunch of aggressive decks. We were seeing the Japanese mono black deck was very popular.
Okay.
And was straight up winning tournaments week in, week out. And then we started seeing more of the control decks, the Esper control, the blue-white control, even America control coming out.
Oh, America, interesting.
Yeah, Jaws has been on America. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see that, right now the metagame is very shifty. It's just setting itself.
Yeah.
And then the control decks will figure out what are the things that I need to control.
Do you think we could actually see something maybe like a Bant deck that tries to take advantage of Detention Sphere, Blinding Light, and Eidolon of Blossom, something like that?
That could be interesting. Yeah, like going more mid-range on the Bant hexproof.
Yeah.
Because I think you still have to go with the hexproof.
Yeah.
Because you have hexproof guys at 1, 2, and 3 in green.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, so we're gonna be heading into game 2 here, as we again see Doff with his very aggressive deck. We're seeing more of the synergy of black-white humans for Nicholas.
Yeah. And if he gets if he has Athros in his deck, we could see that being a huge factor in the game 2 and game 3.
Exactly, and we see every little bit of how Nicholas's deck is built is about Athros. Like everything he's saying is like, well, that's good if you have Athros.
Yes. So we have to assume he has it.
Yeah, and so we see the Dryad Sophisticate.
Yeah, it's 2/1 for 1, and it's a hybrid.
So and then we're gonna see
Blind Obedience.
Blind Obedience.
Very good card that probably came in from his sideboard.
Yeah.
And very good against aggro decks. Make all his creatures come into play tapped and has extort.
Yeah, and exactly. Just help Kismet help you win races.
Yes, exactly. And is Doff stuck on? No, he has 2 mana.
Yeah, and he gets the Scry as well.
Yeah, he gets the Soldier down, comes into play tapped.
Yeah.
But he now has 4 power on the board.
Yeah, and we were talking about before decks that play don't play enough lands. Like Doff doesn't really want to get above 3.
Yeah.
So it makes more sense for him to be playing 20 to 22 lands compared to other decks, which like Nicholas's I'd assume is more of a 24 land type of deck.
I would assume so. Probably 23, 24. It looked like Doff also has another Boros Charm in his hand this game, so
Yeah, it's one of the cornerstones of his plan.
And that's the
The Agent of Fates.
which makes him sacrifice if he targets it.
Yep. Yeah, it's one of the great heroic cards, and
Yeah.
I've played quite a bit with that card, and you frustrate quite a few people with that card.
Do you think if he's running that, do you think he's also running something like Devour Flesh?
Or the thing that I think we might see is the new Johnny's. It's not a Johnny's pen. It's the white that you can pay the extra to add more targets.
Yeah. And then is it the one that makes him indestructible as well? Yeah.
Like that seems like if you're showing me an Agent of Fates, that's the card that in my head I'm thinking you might be running.
Definitely.
And then we see that
The
line
face
coming in tapped as well.
Which would be really good because then he can just use it to chump a guy and make him sacrifice a guy.
Yeah, so yeah, I have to believe that's in the deck, but it's interesting that we did see the white creatures get protection,
And he's playing a lot of black creatures though too, so that's
and it also doesn't trigger heroic.
correct.
So
yeah.
it's interesting when you do that and you don't get the heroic triggers.
Do you think almost Brave the Elements would be, or God's Willing would be better than Brave the Elements?
Well, seeing our double striker coming down, I'd say we definitely want our heroic triggers.
Yes.
So it's interesting what he'd be using for heroic, because we didn't see anything that really screamed heroic game one.
Definitely not. So
And black and white, just out of the Theros, like the instants that target two creatures, like those are probably two of the weakest for constructed.
yeah, for sure. Do you think we even see him playing something like the Orzhov enchant, the lifelink one? It's 3 mana.
Yeah, like that's definitely one that could be in there to swing games for sure.
Because I mean, you just throw that on your heroic double striker. That's all. That's a lot of
And
life
this
gain.
is the matchup where you want it too.
Definitely.
Like yeah, this is where Gift of Orzhova would shine the most if you're running that. And Gift of Orzhova is in a lot of sideboards specifically just for dealing with these type of decks.
Yeah, I have it in my sideboard in my black-white that I'm currently playing.
Yep. So it looks like
Deicide, right?
no, that's the enchantment.
Oh, it's Banishing Light.
Banishing Light.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, if there's a guy who you definitely want not dealing damage, it's the double striker that can get bigger.
Yes.
A weird one that I've played in the past in Black X heroic decks is Boon of Erebus is actually very useful.
Is that the one that gives Intimidate?
No, it gives +2 plus. It's black for +2/+0. You lose 2 life and regenerate it.
Oh, Regenerate. Interesting.
So it deals damage, it triggers heroic, and it regenerates all in one.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah, so like you can protect your Agent of Fates from removal and kill
And make
something
them
on
sacrifice.
Yeah. And you can just force through more damage as well.
Definitely.
Like for instance on your double striker, you Boon of Erebus, it goes from a 2/2 to a 5/5 double striker.
Yeah.
That's
10
regenerating
damage.
this turn.
So looks like Nicholas is down to 8 life, so he's not looking good.
Yeah.
Looks like Ordeal of Heliod.
Yeah.
So he's gonna sacrifice a Dryad Militant.
Yeah. And yeah, Ordeal of Heliod is again another one of those cards that is seeing more and more play out of sideboards for these aggressive matchups.
And here is that Launch the Fleet.
I am not quite sure on that one.
I believe it's Launch the Fleet. So if he starts putting some tokens into play, it's gonna be Launch the Fleet. And I think he targeted his guy again, so he's actually playing heroic black-white.
That is interesting.
So he didn't play any of those cards in the first game, but now we're seeing how his deck actually runs. So he's getting a token.
Yeah, and Agent of Fates is a human, I believe, as well, as is the Fabled Hero.
They are, yes, both of them are. So Launch the Fleet gives him a token and also a counter.
It's
Or
interesting.
no, he doesn't get the counter. Sorry, he gets the counter from the Ordeal.
Yeah. It's interesting because I would have loved to see what cards are sideboard and what cards aren't for Nicholas.
Yes. Yeah.
Because a lot of these cards seem like they're very good sideboard cards, but they also, like Agent of Fates, like is kind of a card that you'd see out of sideboard, but you already have to be built in a heroic fashion.
Yeah, so I think it's a main board card to be honest for that, but I do see the Blind of Beans probably being a sideboard, and
Yeah.
I think the rest are probably main board cards, but it is interesting. It looks like he's a Phalanx Leader in Sand right now.
Exactly. Yeah. So just pushing those advantages. But I'm just wondering, like, where is he really getting his advantage? Like, you're not playing black cipher cards here. Like,
No.
because Mental Vapors isn't gonna be, a huge advantage and doesn't target anything.
No. I mean, although Doff is down to only his Fleece main,
Yeah, and that's the thing is, Agent of Fates cleans up boards very quickly.
yeah. So maybe in this instance, the Banishing Light might have been better on that Agent of Fates in hindsight.
Well, what would have happened though
Is the double striker would have been big?
It would have gotten the ordeal. And you don't like double strikers with ordeals.
No. So we see another Soldier of the Pantheon come down, and it looks like Doff just has to pass after that.
And that soldier should be tapped as well.
Yes, it should. Looks like they forgot about that. Yeah. But he is 1 mana away from being able to make an indestructible lion, but whether that's going to matter or not against something that makes you sack.
Exactly, yeah, because you have ways to make sack. You have, a guy that's a block forever on the other side too.
Yeah.
And don't forget that, if there is, I don't think this is a matchup where he would have brought in enchantment hate, but if Nicholas did bring in enchantment hate, like, you can't forget about that fabled hero. He can come out and kill you out of nowhere too.
Anytime.
Yeah, and so
there's Atheros. Finally
yeah,
see him come down.
Yeah, so it makes sense now.
Now we're seeing it.
Yeah, and so if that Agent of Fates goes away, it's coming back.
It's probably coming back. Because, as we can see, Doff is at 9.
Yeah,
he probably can't take too much damage from Atheros.
Yeah, and because Doff's mana base is the Sanaya, he does take a lot of damage from his lands as well.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that helps the, mid aggro deck like Nicholas is here, is that Doff's doing half the work for him.
And as you see with Nicholas, he didn't extort his Atheros, so do you think he's
on a God's Willing
or something?
Yeah.
Or do you think he forgot about it?
I think he might be on a God's Willing. It is possible that he forgot it as well. But that's the thing is, like we've been seeing in all these games, there's 4 or 5 triggers a turn happening to it. This is a format where it's very easy to get lost in triggers.
Yeah.
And we see a Brave the Elements on the other side for Doff now.
So that's 5. He's at 6. So if Doff has any pump,
yeah, any pump, any burn.
There's the Boros Charm.
Yeah, Boros Charm. So
Boros Charm twice in a row.
I'm pretty amazed to see Nicholas not win that game.
Yeah, based on his board presence.
Yes, but that shows you exactly is that Doff's been playing this deck since Return to Ravnica basically came out.
Yeah.
Like it's the deck he knows, and it's built to kill quick.
Yeah, and we saw with Boros Charm is still a thing. People are really not playing it, but it's still a thing.
Yeah, 4 damage for 2 mana is a lot of damage, and when you double strike, it's even more.
Yeah. And if people actually end up running Supreme Verdict, it's really good against that too.
Yeah, it's the nice things about those modular cards is they give you options for so many different scenarios.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's round 4? Okay. So we are heading into our top 8 now, and so our top 8 matches are going to be Cory Jones versus James Wisenhunt, who we haven't seen today, but knowing James, he's probably on a control deck. Doff is going to be playing Woody. Jeremy Fuller's playing Ty. And then we have Jaws Deep playing Lucinda. Are we on Cory James?
We're going to be on Lucinda.
Okay.
Jaws.
Alright, perfect. So, and we're going to...
Give me a second to get the overlays.
Yeah, so it looks like the match that we're going to be covering is Jaws and Lucinda. And so the last time I saw Lucinda, who, is one of our very well-versed limited players.
Yeah, she plays drafts here all the time, and for years now, and she's very good. I'm always afraid to go up against her in drafts.
Yeah, she's one of the dreaded drafters that you don't want to play first round or last round.
Exactly.
But so she was on a graveyard-based deck.
Yeah, she just changed it this week. I was looking at it earlier.
Yeah, adding Farika to that is a real thing.
That is awesome. But what she's running this week is she's running a really interesting, I believe it's an American deck.
Okay.
And she's basing it around Goblin Electromancer.
Okay, which is a very powerful card.
Yeah. And so we're going to see a lot of, or no, actually, it's I think it's blue, red, and green, not white.
Okay.
So I think it's blue, red, green.
Okay.
And it's running Electromancer because she has Naturalizes on her sideboard, which is a fantastic card to have in your sideboard right now for this meta.
Absolutely.
And with Electromancer, it only costs a green.
Yeah.
Which is the beauty of it.
It's like, oxidized back in Mirrodin.
That takes us back.
It was so powerful because it was green instead of, because this has always been 2 mana with Disenchants. And
Yes. And it naturalizes forever.
Exactly. Yeah, and so I'm not sure what Jaws is on, but Jaws has been talking very excitedly about a certain angel.
So are we talking about Archangel? Or are we talking about the bigger angel?
I believe it is a war leader of sorts.
Oh, so we're seeing Aurelia maybe?
Apparently he decided to opt out of that tonight and play a good deck. So I guess we're not going to see Aurelia tonight, sadly.
No, Aurelia? It is an interesting card. A lot of those ones are... Aurelia's Fury is also an interesting card, but we don't really see it get played in Standard very much, so...
That's the nice thing is we definitely have some brewers who, like Ty's deck, for instance, we've seen other decks do similar things, but instead of playing, adding in the red in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I've seen big X spells before coming out.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, with the Nykthos, I mean, you could just blow someone out with just Nykthos and maybe a Kiora's or just 2 Nykthos.
Exactly. And yeah, like one of the things we haven't seen today, which I think is gonna expand, is we haven't seen much 5-color.
Not at all.
And we have every tool possible to build just 5-color goodies, whether you want to go control, mid-range.
Do you see Chromanticore actually seeing standard play?
I
Realistically.
I wish Chromanticore did more.
Yeah.
Like, typically if you're paying 1 of every mana, you're going to get better than a 4/4.
Yeah. What was the name of that? The
Horde of
Notions. That's what it was. Yep, Horde of Notions.
Yeah, like I think that's kind of your benchmark for what 1 of each color should got.
Yeah.
And it was a devastatingly powerful card.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to go into our top 8 match.
So our video will start on turn 3.
Okay, so we're going to be starting on turn 3, and it looks like both players had mulligan to 6, and we can see on Jaw's side, looks like he's playing mono blue and has a Tidebinder Mage and a Judge's Familiar.
And a Mutavault Engraved from a Magma Jet.
Yep. And then we're seeing end of turn Steam Augury.
Which is a very underplayed card.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, we've been seeing a little bit of growth in America-style control decks.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're seeing a little more Steam Augury these days.
I love the card because it's reminiscent of what I remember Fact or Fiction being kind of. It's worse, but it's still a fun card. And I know she has Electromancer in her deck, so you
get
can
it
play
for
for 3.
cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, one of those cards again abusing Electromancer that we saw go to the graveyard is Divination.
2 mana draw 2 is very powerful.
Yeah.
If you have 2 Electromancers, 1
Yeah.
mana.
But 3 mana draw 2 can be bad too. Like that's one of the problems is that when you build a deck around a card like Electromancer,
Yeah.
you don't always have Electromancer.
And one thing that we need to know about for games 2 and game 3 is I actually got a chance to look Lucinda's sideboard, and I asked her why she wasn't running Gainsays. And we see a perfect matchup where you'd have a 1 mana
where you want
hard
Gainsays.
counter. If she had 4 Gainsays, this match is over right here.
Yeah, Gainsay is very powerful. Part of it is, again, like, I don't know if she's tested against Mono Blue and isn't concerned about the matchup or not.
Yeah.
And also, are you expecting Mono Blue, especially in an open field where, this is where people come out to experiment. It's the second week of Druid and Nyx being out.
Yeah.
Like, you're not expecting somebody like, yeah, Mono Blue.
Yeah, you're definitely not. I mean, I still would play Gainsay against even control decks, but that's because I'm scared of cards like Aetherling.
Yeah, that's totally reasonable. But we see, Jaws adding another Mutavault to his side.
And then Lucinda popping her getting 5. So she's at 9?
Yep, so yeah, she'll go up to 9 from the Elixir.
So she must have taken a lot of damage from the Mutavault and the Tidebinder.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we can see that, that young Pyromancer needs to do some work here, though.
Definitely. Although Lucinda just did shuffle back in a Divination, a Magma Jet, and a Steam Augury at the very least.
Yeah.
So putting some more cards back in there.
And the thing is, her whole deck's about abusing efficient spells.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I assume Magma Jet's in here. Like, that's a perfect card for this deck.
Yeah. And one card I would have loved to see, just to see how it would play in Standard, is Keranos. But I know she's not running it.
Yeah, I think Keranos is just a little too costy for what it does.
Yeah, I feel like if it was more of a 4 mana rather than a 5, it would be in that sweet spot.
Exactly. But it's in that weird limbo where 4's too good, 5's not good enough.
Yeah.
And you can't make something cost 4.5.
And I can at least see 1 or 2 lands in Lucinda's hand, so it looks like she's getting very, very flooded in this first game.
Yeah, so I see a Dispel as one of those, which is an interesting... Oh no, I'm sorry, that's a Mizium Skin.
Mizium Skin, yeah.
Yeah, so Mizium Skin protecting the Pyromancer as well as...
double Mizium Skin.
Yep, so there's going to be a couple of guys coming down.
Probably taking care of that Mutavault, I would assume.
Yeah, and so one of those, I believe, is overloaded. So it's basically a 1/3 and a 1/2 and a 1/1.
Yeah. So try to clean up the board, and it would just leave Jaws with a Judge's Familiar.
Yeah,
and when you're sitting at 9 life, 1 Judge's Familiar is not... I mean, you got a lot of turns left.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, we know that like Turn and Burn is probably a card that we see as well that can help against is that a rabid hybridization?
Yep. So he's getting himself. He's doing his own Tidebinder mage to save it in a sense.
Yep, to make it into a 3/3. Yeah, because it wasn't killing anything.
Nope. And then the vault goes down, and the Pyromancer survives, which could be a bad thing too. Like,
Yeah, but
Lucinda needs that Pyromancer.
yeah, but that was the thing, is that Pyromancer, you couldn't kill it. Like,
Yeah.
and you're not going to give them the 3/3.
Yeah.
Like, that's your other option, is give them the 3/3 and keep your Tidebinder, or
Yeah.
that's not really as good.
No. And so we see the divination here, draw 2. It looks like she drew into some more land, so she's sitting at like almost 10 land here on turn 7 or 8.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how much land she plays too, but yeah, because this, when you're playing Young Pyromancer, Goblin, Electromancer decks, you're not going to be playing 25, 26 land.
Yeah. And it looks like the land in her hand was Temple of Abandon, so that's how she's splashing that green.
Yeah, because that's the nice thing again with having all these mana options, is that you don't necessarily have to have all your sideboard colors in your main deck. Like, you can have options that fix your matchups in other colors very easily.
Yeah, and we see Hammer Perforos come down, which gets her some good blockers.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have a lot of land, Hammer Perforos is one of those cards you're going to want to see if you have it.
Exactly, and we did the Sealed a couple weeks ago, and basically Hammer of Perforos was acting a lot like a pack rat in that.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's a powerful card when left unattended.
Yeah.
Or when left with about 10 lands, as we're seeing on the side.
And then we see Jaws throw down a late Cloudfin Raptor, not ideal by any means.
Yeah, and that is one of the things that Mono Blue wants to come out of the gates explosively.
Yes.
And as you get grindier and grindier, they become less and less effective.
Yeah. And do you think a card like the Judge's Familiar, since it's been on the table for so long, do you think Lucinda might forget about it eventually?
Well, like I said, we both talked about the caliber of player that Lucinda is.
So probably not.
Yes, I don't think Lucinda is the type of player that's going to ignore that Judge's Familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's an important thing, is just being aware of the players that you're playing against and what mistakes they probably will and won't make.
Definitely. Looks like Jaws has 3 cards in his hand possibly here.
Yeah, so one of them being an island as well.
So it looks like he's starting to get a little bit of the flooding going down too.
Yeah, and they're both, they're fairly late into this game too.
Yeah, and I think if they're both flooded, I think you give edge to Lucinda because of the draws.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah, that huge advantage of, especially when both players get flooded.
So
She made a golem with the hammer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, actual tokens, no more dice.
Yeah, I was like, what is this?
Yeah. Yeah, it's all shiny looking because it's an enchantment as well.
Oh.
Yeah, so yeah, you can do constellation things with
Yeah, I
hammer
was just
as
thinking
well.
about that. It's interesting.
Yeah,
Looks like she's thinking she's an island in her hand. She's definitely going to be swinging.
yeah. Well, don't forget about the rapid hybridization token as well.
Yeah.
Like, she's at 6 and there's a 3/3 over there, but
Do you think just the golem then?
I think you can only attack with one golem here to be safe, and looks like that's what Lucinda chooses. Because you're at 6, evolving Cloudfin Raptor can kill you pretty quickly out of nowhere.
And so Jaws does make the trade there.
Yeah, yep. That hurts so much because, that's a renewable resource for Lucinda, and Jaws has to draw cards to keep playing.
Yeah.
And so we see the Frostborn Warrior, which plays some defense,
And then Lucinda taking care immediately of the Cloudfin Raptor, so
and the Scry 2 from Magma Jet as well.
yeah.
Which is the nice thing about the reprint, because we see so many of the other cards being Scry 1.
And she'll get a token from Young Pyromancer.
Yep. Yeah, it looks like that. Again, so many triggers in this format.
Missed one. You miss one every once in a while.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, like every game we've seen, there's just so many triggers going on at once that it's hard to keep up.
And honestly, I don't see really how Jaws is going to be able to win this game with just attacking for 5 turns with the Judge's Familiar.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any super secret tech that Jaws has to jam through extra damage.
Because the hammer is just going to keep putting out 3/3s, and
So
there's the elixir.
So if it weren't for elixir, Thassa's an out. Because you
That
could
is true.
Thassa unblockable,
Hit for
fully pump
4.
Frostborn Weird,
Yep.
and that would have been lethal. But yeah, we see the Cloudfin after in graveyard, and the Judge's Familiar coming in.
Still alive, so Lucinda goes to 4.
Yep, and
There's the
there is
Thassa.
Thassa.
So it's interesting that he plays it in second main phase.
Yeah, that is interesting. So yeah, it's again we're in the top 8. We've been playing all night too. So
But Jaws does see that there's the elixir, so he probably assumes that she would just pop it, which she's doing now. So
Yeah, exactly. It's that elixir just making, the difference of winning and losing.
yeah, and she's at 9 now, and she's popped 2 elixirs at this point. That's 10 life already. So
Yeah, I have to imagine Lucinda's plan against control decks is just to deck them.
yeah, and we have to keep in mind that Jaws is 18, and he has a Lucinda on a 2-turn clock.
That is true. Yeah, those golems add up, but they don't add up that quick.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's see. It looks like
Gonna go to Lucinda's turn, let her draw.
and again, that hammer is going to give all of her creatures haste, so it's not just the golems. Yeah, and so the tokens off of Pyromancer, we get haste as well.
I can't quite make out what's in her hand. Another land, so she's taking.
She's
2.
taking the damage here, so that's kind of scary.
Yeah. Do you think it may be Amizium Mortars?
So she's making.
Because that leaves her with 6 open.
Yeah, that definitely could be Mysium Mortars.
And tapping 5.
For Teleportal. So these creatures are unblockable, and they have +1/+0.
And how many is that now?
So the token is going to come in, and it is going to get the bonus because.
Yes, this comes in before because it's a trigger.
Yep. So let's see. That's going to be
3.
So that's
Is that
12, 13, 14, 15,
17?
16. Yeah. So I believe that is 17.
So that missed trigger earlier on that Pyromancer.
Yeah, was the difference
game.
here. But yeah, I'll be in. Let's see. So Lucinda is still at 7.
So
Thassa getting turned on is the biggest threat here. So like a
Yeah.
Night Veil Spectre or Frostborn Weir. So yeah, there are ways for Jaws to win this game.
although Jaws is at 4 devotion, so
Yeah.
even
So yeah,
something
it's-
small would still turn it on, like any creature really. Or you might have drawn a land.
Yeah, I think this is something that I do at the end of games a lot too, is just taking a second when you know you can't necessarily win to just reevaluate the board state and see what happened.
Yeah.
And just as it's fresh, seeing what could I have done.
And again, we see that Cyclonic Rift is probably a very good card in
Or-
Jaws' deck.
Yeah. To be fair, Jaws was scrying there.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, that was the Thassa scry.
Oh, the Thassa Scry.
Yeah. Yeah, and so he thought about it a long time and put it on the bottom. Now he's doing some math, so that's a little scary. But
All
it was
islands.
a couple islands.
Wonder what Jaws scried away.
Cyclonic Rift, so. Yeah. The problem is, she can hammer, play it,
Yeah.
destroy land, kill you. Yeah, so
But
that.
it would still give you an extra turn though. Because she'd have to swing and then you bounce everything, and then next turn she'd have to swing again. Because 2 attack steps.
You have a Frostburn Weir.
Yeah.
Yeah, close game there. Yeah, it was a very, very close game. It's hard to say 100% what happened there.
Yeah. But definitely an interesting one. And we probably will see Cyclonic Rift come into play at some point. And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
very good against those tokens.
Yeah, those two decks interact with each other in some interesting ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
If Lucinda deals with all the early things, though, if she Magma Jets the Raptors away, keeps the board kind of clean early,
yeah,
I
she
can see her winning this.
yeah, she definitely has to take it into their control. Like she has to understand her job is to, as you said, extend the game out to where Jaws threats are less threatening.
Yeah, and again, she doesn't have gainsays. I don't remember seeing any counter spells either. So if Jaws is running Master of the Waves of playset,
Yeah, that's a big impact game.
that could just be the game right there.
So let's head into game 2 and see what happens here. But yeah, like I have to believe that if Lucinda can sideboard towards control, it's the thing to do.
Yeah, and she has the naturalizes, but those aren't going to help really, unless Jaws was also playing like white for Detention Spheres.
And so one of the cards that Lucinda could have that could deal with Master Ways is Turn and Burn. Like that is one of the ways that you can deal with the pro-red guy.
I don't believe she has that. Looking at her sideboard, I don't believe she ran it main board either, unfortunately. But I like Turn and Burn, but I find it kind of clunky too. It's expensive.
Yeah.
And it being so expensive, it makes it difficult. But Jaws is off to a commanding start here. So we'll probably see an Electromancer maybe, or a Pyromancer coming down.
Yep. So yeah, it's the Pyromancer. So It's interesting knowing that you're going against a red deck and not necessarily waiting to Tidebinder.
Yeah.
So that tells you he definitely didn't have Frostborn Weird. But yeah, I think the evolving is important too.
For sure, yeah. He wants to get the Raptor out of kill range.
Okay.
Out of the Magma Jet range as soon as possible. So now it's a 2/3. It's a flyer. We've both seen that Lucinda has no flyers in her deck, so.
Yeah, none that we've seen. Like, this deck seems like it could support Chandra's Phoenix.
Definitely, yeah.
But yeah, so we see that Pyromancer trading with the Tidebinder, which is very interesting.
Yeah. It looks like Lucinda has a Thassa in her hand as well, so we could see Thassa coming down and just trying to get some value out early.
Yeah, and we saw how grindy that this game got, so yeah, an early Thassa could definitely make a difference.
And there's Electromancer and a Elixir.
Yeah, which, again, Elixir MVP of that last game.
Yes, for
It
sure.
basically saved Lucinda twice.
Yeah.
And we see the Frostborn Weir and the Raptor that's up to 2 power now, flying in.
Yeah, it looks like Jaws may be missing some land drops here. Or no, he hasn't played first, so second main phase, he gets land down.
Yeah, because that's the thing, is he's not going to pump it into killing itself range.
Yeah. So he chose not to play. He's probably play Thassa here. Would be the best play.
Yeah, Thassa would be the best, and yeah, we see the Thassa coming down.
And it looks like he's a backup one in his hand in case Lucinda is able to deal with it at all.
Yeah, which, yeah, red-blue, it's a little harder to deal with a Thassa, though.
Yeah. She does have the green. She might have the one of the exile cards from the Theros block.
So another card that's good for dealing with gods is Turnberg.
That is also true.
I like that card. But we see Thassa coming down for Lucinda as well, as you mentioned you'd seen in her hand.
Yep.
So yeah, people are going to be working with a lot of extra filtering here.
Yeah, and I think this maybe benefits Lucinda more because she can play some. Oh, this is Spectre comes down. That's
Yeah, Night Veil will change around advantages a lot.
yeah.
I also think that Jaw's deck more easily abuses Thassa,
Yep.
because Lucinda's not as concerned about making her creatures unblockable, and it's a lot harder for her to turn Thassa on.
Yeah. The interesting thing is in her hand right now she has the hammer, but it's not going to do anything this game.
Yeah, there's not too much the hammer can do here.
And she scries into a divination, but I don't think you can keep that looking down that board state. But she keeps it.
Yeah.
She's at 11, and there's a Thassa, so it's 5. It's lethal coming at you.
Yeah. And that's, again, the thing about cards like Divination and some other cards that are a little clunkier, that you really have to have your Electromancers and your young Pyromancers to take full advantage of them.
Yeah. So she's a little bit behind to start off with and force her to chump block or trade.
Exactly. And then, it makes all of your cards worse.
Yeah. What do you think about Magma Jet in Standard, though? I mean, it's good, but as we see here, it doesn't deal with any of the flyers pretty much.
Yeah, there's a lot less targets. I think Scrying 2 is very powerful, and so being able to, dig that much deeper,
Yeah.
especially, we've seen long games today.
True.
Like, we're getting into attrition-y states, so being able to just get that far ahead when you're both playing off the top.
Well, looking at the board, see if she had a Magma Jet, let's say, and she can't target either of the 2/3 flyers, but she would target Judge's Familiar. Now, if Jaws sacks the Familiar, what are the rulings for that?
It would stop the scry.
It would stop the scry. So,
yeah,
right now in this board state, Magma Jet's not very good, and that's probably one of her outs. I'm not sure if she's running Lightning Strike. Do you think Lightning Strike may be better in some cases because it has that extra damage?
There's definitely arguments, especially when you see, for instance, a lot of Naya, where you're going to see turn 2 Fleece Main Lions coming down a lot.
Yeah.
Like, that would be your biggest argument probably for Lightning Strike. Yeah, so we see that this aggression is going to be putting Lucinda down to 5.
Yeah.
And stealing an island.
And Jaws is more than happy to play any blue spells or any blue cards.
Yeah, and it lets him not have to play a land out of his own hand. It keeps mystery.
And then we see Jace.
Yep, so, and immediately going for the draws there. And Island, Judge Familiar.
Do you think that playing the Jace and showing the Jace is good right now? Or do you think
I
that
don't think Lucinda's doubting that you're playing Jace. Like,
okay.
You want to play card
advantage.
advantage. You're also Jaws,
Yeah.
and Jaws isn't going to side that card out. It draws cards.
True.
It's like a card that's 2 cards.
Yeah. And we see Jaws win that game there, so
Yeah.
going to game 3 here pretty soon, but
Yeah, that was Mono Blue doing what Mono Blue's famously done for
Yeah.
a very long time now.
how do you see game 3 turning out? If you had to guess.
well-
Lucinda's going first.
It's about curving out. Is that Jaws can win by the pressure of curving out, where
Yeah.
Lucinda has to control the game and get into a later state and develop a board of a bunch of tokens to overwhelm him.
So do you think that it's relying too much on the Electromancer or the Pyromancer?
Yeah, I think, is that you have two cards that you kind of have to have, otherwise you're not really boiled in it.
Yeah.
You're like, because for win conditions you have Hammer and Young Pyromancer, and Goblin Electromancer is more there just to create value.
Yeah,
by making
definitely.
things more efficient. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes, because it can be a close matchup, and we saw how deep they went game 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll head into game 3 here. And this will determine who finishes in the top 4 and gets $15 store credit in 4 packs, and who just goes home with 2 packs.
Yeah.
It's a big difference there.
Yeah. So looks like Temple of Epiphany to start it off,
Yeah, and that Scry being very valuable,
especially
card from
early
bottom.
on.
Yep. So that was basically almost a card drawn there.
Yeah. And I can't quite make out what's in Jaws' hand.
Yeah, he's keeping mysteries from us.
I thought I saw a Night Veil Spectre though.
Yeah, Night Veil Spectre is great in this matchup, as is the Frostborn Weird.
Yeah, I definitely see a Mutavault.
Yeah, but I do want to speak to how good Frostborn Weird is in this matchup, though, because it stops the 3/3 tokens. It, it can kill Goblin Electromancer in battle, and kill Young Pyromancer in battle. It stops Young Pyromancer tokens pretty well. Like, it does a lot of good here.
And there we see the Spectre come down. You couldn't ask for almost... The only better start would be if you played a Cloud from Raptor on turn 1. Like, these 2 cards right now are just money against the Sentinel.
Yeah, and we see Jaws flashing us a Master of Waves. As Perforos does come down for Lucinda, that's going to help her have a lot more explosive turns. And we haven't seen it the last 2 games.
Definitely not. But I mean, with Night Veil Spectre, what is it?
Windstorm, so it's 7 damage to flying
Flyers,
creatures?
yeah.
X damage to flying creatures. Yeah, it's a hurricane variant.
There we see the Mutavault come down and the Master of Waves.
Yeah.
For 6. That might be a game right there.
Yeah, that's gonna be hard to come back from. Trying to think, because there's only one red source on the Senda side as well.
Yeah, well, she has another mountain in her hand I can see, but what is there that she could play there? I mean, there's no Pyroclasm in Standard.
She might have bored into Electrickery if that's in her sideboard.
Okay.
Like, that's one of the common red solutions to Master of Waves, of just kill all the tokens.
Yeah.
Mizium Mortars, like I said, is very far, like, she needs another red source. And
which she plays there, but she still needs more mana. There's a Pyromancer, so maybe going to like chump block mode,
so
play a
here comes
spell.
Perforos. I think I saw a Magma Jet in hand, which is a token.
Yeah, so make a token, kill a token, use Pyromancer to block. I mean,
Yeah.
you're still not looking.
You can never
Great.
forget about that pro red on the Master of Waves.
Definitely not. Prevents
just-
damage and everything.
Yeah, but and it just keeps the tokens alive.
Yeah.
So if you could just, Magma Jet,
Master Waves.
it's a whole different game.
Yeah. And there's the Mutavault, which is an elemental.
Yep. Yeah, so it's the 3/3. And so, yeah, we see Magma Jet to kill a token and make a token.
And make a token, scry. Do you think she maybe and it takes 2 damage? Do you think she maybe just looks at the top 2 and if she doesn't see anything, just concedes right here?
Yeah, I think that's...
Oh, here's
looks-
a Mizium skin, so here's another token coming down.
Yeah, it looks like Lucinda, in her haste to stay alive, didn't scry. Which is understandable with the amount of pressure coming at you.
Yeah. And it's also late.
But yeah, like, I can...
I don't even know if there's any outs in her deck.
Yeah, because this thing is, we're talking about very specific cards.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think she's running on Anger the Gods or anything along those lines to
No.
get her back in this game.
And also, the Night Veil Spectre is still going to keep getting value. I mean, would that... So missing that scry could be very, very important, because if Jaws flips over something that's game-ending, she could have scried it away. Or set it up so he draws like land or something.
Yeah. I'm just not sure if it even matters, though, honestly.
It probably won't matter. The game's pretty much over.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a chance if she keeps Pyromancer alive and can play a lot of spells in a turn, that Perforos could maybe get there, but you have to play 7 creatures.
Yeah, that's a little tricky, and yeah, we don't see the cards in hand for Lucinda either that she needs to really get there.
Maybe she has Goblin Rally.
Goblin Rally, she does have Goblin Rally.
She does have Goblin Rally. I mean, there you go. I mean,
Well, not necessarily in hand, but in deck.
in the deck. Because that'd be awesome, because it's 5, you get 4 1/1s, and it blows off Perforos.
Yeah.
And I was running Goblin Rally in my red-green deck with the Revelry in Perforos and Oracle of Bone. So, I mean, she has a chance here, actually, if she has that.
Yeah. It is sad that Goblin Rally is just a strictly worse siege game commander.
Strictly worse, yes. And it looks like scoop. So it looks like game over. I mean, anytime you curve out, like you were saying, into a Master of Waves.
Yeah, and that was 100% the power of what Mono Blue does. And so it looks like we split up the top 4.
Yeah, so it looks like they each got $45
And
in
2
store
packs.
credit and 2 packs.
Which is pretty good for 650.
Yeah, definitely.
And so our top 4, as we saw with Jaws earned his way in, and then both of the Vissers made it.
The Visser brothers.
Yep, so Ty and Doff. And then James Wisenhunt, who we didn't see today, but again, I assume that he's on control because we've seen him on, blue-white control and bank control in the past.
So he's probably one of the very few control players we actually had here tonight.
Oh, that's a deck after my own heart. So it turns out James is playing Eidolon of Blossoms and
All
Sphere
right.
of Safety.
Interesting. So just going the enchantment route, draw a lot of cards, protect yourself.
Yep. So yeah, the most efficient way that you can pillow for it.
Nice.
Yeah, that is a deck. So I'm excited to see James on the stream in the future with that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a very interesting one. I'm always curious to see if we ever see a Maze's End deck come back around at any point.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. That's the thing is, yeah, we're getting pretty close to the end of Return to Ravnica, as sad as it is.
Yeah, Shocklands go away, which is huge for the format, and also control gets so much worse because you lose the Supreme Verdict, you lose the Tension Sphere.
But we get to live in a world without Sphinx's Revelation, though.
I'm happy about that. I
It
must
does
say.
completely change the way that you build decks.
Yeah, I'm sad about the Supreme Verdict, but I'm very happy about Sphinx's Revelation. So it's a give and take.
Maybe we'll get a new better Wrath.
Maybe.
So
It's probably day of judgment though for guessing.
probably. So do you have any final thoughts before we sign off for the night?
Not really. I thought that everyone played very well. I mean, it was great to see some new decks, like Lucinda's deck, very new. Like no one's really playing that style of deck. It's great to see the mechanics of it. And we saw older decks. We saw Nykthos make a huge impact. We saw the mono blue deck. I mean, it was a great night of Magic as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing that we always say is we see a great variety of decks at Cosmic always.
Yeah. And that makes it fun because you don't want to see the same. You don't want to have everyone in the field playing the same deck. That's boring.
Exactly. Yeah, like everybody playing Stoneforge Mystic does just make you want to quit Magic.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it was great working with you tonight.
Definitely.
All right. So if you enjoy what you're seeing, don't forget to click the follow button at the bottom. These are also going to be going up on our YouTube, and we will see you next week.
All right. Take care, everyone.